Meet Yuji Han, a man utterly without powers. His only skill. Sampling. Triggers at random moments, like terrible Wi-Fi. Never there when you need it, always when you don't. He was simply a support for the Kiosk Guild. Yet, the young man always did his best, even prepared to die for his teammates. I guess every team needs a designated meat shield, right? Then one day, the guild leader, Kim Hunai, fired him for being useless, essentially saying, "You're fired, we've hit our dead weight quota." With no other choice, he just accepted it. It felt like getting kicked from a D&D campaign at Stings, but you saw it coming, and so began his desperate hunt for a new guild. You could call it Guild Tinder. But instead of swiping for dates, he was swiping for warriors and mages. His glitchy skill led him to the Epic Guild, run by an elf. Seeing its potential for growth, he decided to apply. He basically found a startup guild before its IPO, figuring an early investment was smart. Little did he know, during his interview, Silf, the wind spirit, would claim him as her new contractor. And just like that, Jihan got his hero moment. But with great power comes great enemies, and apparently, great bills. But that's a plot point the author hasn't bothered to write yet. The scene shifts to a battlefield, a warrior charging with a flaming sword, because a regular sharp sword just isn't extra enough. I guess. Upon reaching his foe, he unleashes his ultimate move, Meteor Break, annihilating everything around him. But another warrior appears, taunting. "Is that all you've got, Kim Hai?" Then declaring it's his turn to shine. It's always a contest. Just when you think it's over, someone else has to show up and turn it into a power level contest. The story goes that one day, Earth's flora and fauna mutated into terrifying monsters. Invaders from other dimensions poured in, beginning an age of chaos. To fight back, humanity formed guilds of superpowered heroes. It didn't work for the Avengers or the Justice League, but maybe this time a generic guild name is the key to success. We see the area's boss, Goater, charging straight for one of the heroes. A terrified Hwang Junho of the Karyo Guild screams, "Why is this thing so damn strong?" Knowing he can't block the next blow, a panicked Yuji Han struggles to avoid being flattened. He glances over, yelling that it's time, a classic line that could mean "attack now" or "I need a coffee." Replying that she knows, a girl unleashes her fearsome blazing thunder attack. It scores a direct hit, making the beast roar in pain before a massive explosion. The mage, Mun, smirks, confident it couldn't survive her blast. But to her shock, the boss emerges, even more enraged. The guy in the glasses moves in a flash, saving the young mage from certain doom. His glasses grant no powers, but they sure activate his budget Clark Kent mode. He analyzes the fight, saying while they did no damage, they bought time for Mia Lee, who is now running. The warrior unleashes a flurry of her quick slash attacks, forcing the boss to its knees. With the boss distracted, Kim dives in from above, ending it with Meteor Break. Turns out, he leads the #1 Curios Guild. Of course, the leader has red hair. Apparently, that hair grants more authority in games than in real life. Our hero was on that team, until Hyun fired him after a brutal battle. Just like that, no warning, standing alone in the pouring rain. He curses his 7 years of loyal service, all for pocket change. Recalling their words, calling him weak, saying he was useless to them now. Amidst the crackling lightning, our hero vows his story won't end like this. We learn his unique skill is called sampling, which only activates randomly during special moments. So, after being kicked out of Serios, he spent a week searching, finally finding the Fun Guild, a group with major growth potential. Set on success, Yu crashes into a woman's apartment. Before face-planting, he declares he's there to join the Fun Guild, because breaking into the boss's apartment is a great first impression. He wakes up to find Kim Se, the guildmaster, looking down at him. Intrigued, she asks why someone from a major guild would want to join her small group. Our hero says he has a story to tell. After a quick chat, the blonde offers some classic corporate feedback. She gets his situation, but says he should join bigger teams. Our hero wonders if it's time to reveal his trump card. Getting no reply, Tsiyu takes off her headphones, revealing she's half elf, half human. This means her veins carry the blood of those who once butchered humans. Unfazed, our boy sees through her scare tactic. He says it won't work, since he thinks elves and humans look pretty much the same. You have to give him points for diplomacy. Not everyone admits that after 2 a.m. at a drive-thru. Surprised by his response, the girl says she'll think about it and contact him soon. Suddenly, her staff glows with intense power. The Silf spirit, asleep for 12 years, decided right then to wake up. Amid the blinding light, the young woman tries to regain control, but fails completely. Following the blast, she wonders why Sil would ever make contact with a human. When there's a huge explosion, it's either ancient magic, or someone put a fork in the microwave again. And just like that, Yu gets a super rare class. He's now an elementalist, one of only 20 people in the world. To become this kind of hero, you must form a pact with a special being to borrow its power. So you have elementalists of mist, sea, and sand. And now, wind. The elf explains that Silf is actually her deceased mother. A little freaked out, our hero asks if he can cancel the contract, but she tells him it's far too late for that. Sadly, mystical contracts lack an unsubscribe button, and their support team definitely won't answer your DMs.
Once a spirit picks its master, the contract is for life. So, our boy asks what he's supposed to do now.
She dodges the question, asking if he's trying to run away. He denies it. He declares that he'll only join the Epic Guild, no one else. Who needs a backup plan with this kind of power? It's like a big tech terms of service agreement. Smiling, she agrees to teach him slowly, but our hero has other ideas.
We cut to the monster hunting grounds. The further you go, the stronger the creatures become. Determined, Jihan says he'll test his new skills on the level 5 monsters located in Buton.
Noticing the guildmaster looks nervous, he asks if something is wrong. She admits this is her first time in a monster zone since the academy. So our hero steps up and takes the lead.
After they walk for a bit, he asks what kind of monsters spawn here.
Checking her phone, the elf says they'll mostly find the cockatrice in this area. Analyzing the intel, our hero realizes he has to be the tank and the DPS. Suddenly, CU screams, feeling a dark presence ahead. It's a cockatrice, just having its afternoon meal.
Our boy tells her to support him from the back. The beast charges but is instantly blocked, giving her an opening for a wind arrow strike.
An explosion erupts, and once the dust finally settles, we see the cockatrice has been sent to the Shadow Realm. He praises her shot, but their victory is cut short by 3 more monsters. Yu spins around as his sampling skill activates. It shows him the path to victory. A simple crouch will dodge the attacks. He does so, then uses acceleration for a blitz of high-speed blows.
Shocked, the elf asks if he really awakened just 24 hours ago. Sheathing his sword, the protagonist states that it's time to collect the loot. But as Kyu moved to help, he felt a sudden chill, shouting a warning. A much more dangerous foe had just appeared.
Jihan uses his power, saving his ally from a fatal blow. Confused, the elf asks why such a beast is in a level 5 zone. But our hero has already figured it out. It's a cockatrice variant. Worse, his skill shows their chance of victory is only 12%. He asks if she can keep up with the creature's movements. She can, but barely. He charges in anyway. Getting close, Yu yells for the guildmaster to act now. Following his lead, she casts decelerating wind, and magical ropes of air erupt to immobilize the beast. But their strategy only lasts for a few seconds before the creature breaks free.
As it dives in for the kill, our boy remembers Kim calling him useless. He mixes that fury with cutting wind, shredding the variant to pieces.
Unknown to him, his every move is being watched by the Earth Elementalist, Yundoha. The scene shifts to Class 2A in Junggo. Bizarre creatures with red eyes are facing Jihan's power. Pushing himself, he yells for them to attack. As commanded, she unleashes her lightning chain, igniting a massive explosion of yellow energy. Their tanker emerges, whining about nearly getting fried, but the mage quips that she told him to go on a diet. Just as they're about to leave, another creature emerges, clearly looking for a meal. The redhead calls for Yu's help, then remembers he's no longer on their team. Luckily, Kim appears, slicing the beast in 2 with a single strike. With the battle finally over, the mage and tanker collapse from sheer exhaustion. Confused, the big guy asks why the monsters looked so unusual this time. Their leader scoffs, calling them normal giant worms, and asks when his team became so pathetic. Lima interrupts their bickering, covered in dirt, reporting that Zone 2's processing is complete. The furious redhead yells that he warned her not to act so recklessly without their support. Another remembers that their failures began right after the young man's departure. Denying it, Hunai calls Yu useless. Meanwhile, our boy and his new ally are being watched. A man in glasses smirks. Sure, he's just found a gold mine. The elf rushes to his side, catching him before he falls and asks what happened. Though weakened, Jihan insists they gather everything, since variants are worth a fortune. Chiyu gets annoyed at his focus on money, but admits this is too much for just 2 people to handle. Just then, Jang Sim appears, introducing himself as the CEO of the monster processing company, Mongdong. Curious, our hero asks what a businessman is doing in such a dangerous zone. Jang explains his new company is struggling, and offers to process all the carcasses for them. The elf seems to think it's a good deal, but our hero feels something is very wrong. The man gears up and starts to examine the monster parts. He confirms they're worth good money, all while hiding his true goal, a rare magic crystal only found in variants. Suddenly, a stone prison erupts around him. Terrified, he begs for his life, offering to give back the magic crystal. Yoha appears, calmly asking if he was really about to steal someone else's property. Surprised, the CEO asks what someone from the Dice Guild is doing out here. Taking the crystal, Yu asks if he's also here to steal from them. But the man claims that by the association's decree, this variant now belongs to him. Even knowing the odds are against him, our boy declares he doesn't care about any orders.
Appearing behind him, the Earth Elementalist states he's not one to ask nicely. Trapped, Jang groans about running into the infamous Earth Dragon.
Nervous, the elf tells the man to get away from Jihan, but Doha threatens her to be quiet or lose her partner. Activating his power, our hero declares that the only one dying today is him. He then unleashes his attack, the breath of the night. Dodging. The hero is shocked, since he was sure the boy was pinned to the ground. He realizes the kid used an element to cancel the damage, which suddenly makes him a very interesting target. But our hero knows that if he continues to use his elemental magic, he'll be completely finished. He's no match for a Class 1 hero. As the Earth user suggests a second round, Yu hands over the crystal and surrenders, seeing no point in fighting anymore.
Unable to break the surrender decree, the man laments that his fun is over. Suddenly, 2 association helicopters descend.
From above, a woman scolds Yoon for daring to act all on his own. With the crystal secured, he says the mission is done and tells her not to bother him. Before leaving, he asks for our boy's name.
After getting an answer, he tells the young man to take the Class 4 promotion test, offering his personal recommendation.
Inside the aircraft, the woman says the test is in 2 days, asking how they'll send a recommendation letter.
But her words die in her throat when she sees the Earth Elementalist has actually been injured.
On his knees, Yang apologizes for his mistake, but our hero tells him to get ready for a beating, trying to reverse the situation. The guy mentions the test, knowing they'll need an equipment upgrade. So he offers to take the duo to a special workshop. They soon arrive at a strange, empty place that makes Jihan suspicious. The elf immediately asks if this is just another one of his scams. Suddenly, a dwarf blacksmith appears, demanding to know who they are and why they're here on his day off. It is revealed that in this world, the dwarf race is made up of top-tier master blacksmiths. As a legendary S-rank blacksmith, he was always in demand. Seeing his chance, Sim tried to slip away. He snapped, "I'm no dwarf. I'm a native Korean. Show me your ID," our hero demanded, clearly irritated. The blacksmith reluctantly complied.
Staring at the ID, Yu and Ku shared a look. Should they report this guy for identity theft?
The elf absolutely lost it. "Yang tricked us again," she cried out. The word police caught his attention. "Let me see that sword," the blacksmith urged. With the blade in hand, he knew instantly. "You're a wind elementalist," he said, his expertise clear. He dashed to his materials, a blur of motion. Moments later, he presented a magnificent new blade. It was an elemental weapon named after himself, Nam Hoyo's sword. Then, the day of the promotion test arrived. The duo reached the site, which was packed with hunters. Once they spotted our boy, the whispers began. All about his infamous expulsion from Karawes. But he breathed a quiet sigh of relief. At least they weren't talking about the Bushin incident. A man entered, silencing the whole room. "Quiet down," he sneered. "None of you are special. You're all below standard." It was Bang Eunuch, the Class 4 examiner, a 1% chance of passing. Our hero wondered if Yoon had even written the recommendation. Elsewhere, an Earth Elementalist's secretary confirmed it. She had sent the letter. But she had to ask, why choose that specific examiner? Back at the test, the competitors rushed the man. He sent them all flying with a single motion. "You really are a bunch of idiots."
A system message popped up. Team 12 has failed the test.
Watching from afar, Hansik sighed. Isn't Bang going a little too far? Oh Hai fretted about what to tell the higher-ups if no one passed. Suddenly, all eyes fell upon our favorite duo, the ones recommended by the guildmaster himself. "This is going to hurt," our boy muttered. He's not a flexible guy. The condition to pass was simple enough. Defeat the examiner or earn his respect, she wondered aloud. How can a Class 5 team possibly defeat someone that strong? Yu quickly analyzed his opponent. "Cover the rear, just like last time." The test began, and Bang attacked instantly. Our boy was sent flying from a brutal kick, but as a punch flew towards the blonde girl, the examiner froze. His attack stopped cold. So that recommendation letter wasn't just a bluff. He shook the elf off, dashing toward our hero, blocking the blow. He felt the immense power. This guy was a monster, even with a wooden sword. The young man had to use it. He unleashed the breath of the night to make some distance. The examiner backflipped with ease. Shh, natural talent is so annoying. He never saw the attack coming from above. Meanwhile, Yoon explained to his secretary, "No one else is like Eunuch. He can literally cut the wind."
Back on the battlefield,
the man unleashed his devastating blow. Wave of the devastating blade. It struck Jihan in several places at once. On his knees, our hero gasped. "I'm not as fast. This sword eats too much mana." The examiner sneered. "How did a weakling like you get a recommendation?" But before he could land the final hit, Sihu blocked his path. She stood protectively before Jihan. "I'll handle this," she declared. "I can't stay in someone's shadow forever." Bang just sighed. Why not just retreat? Instead, the elf charged straight ahead, irritating him. Using her gift to read the flow of mana, the young woman dodged every blow, then launched a powerful wind arrow. The examiner broke free, only to get caught in a trap. Surprised, he muttered, "Multiple conjurations and sevenfold magic from a Class 5. In instantianum tamid." A massive explosion erupted, but it was bad news for the elf. Eunuch emerged completely unscathed. With his blade at her throat, he said, "Too slow." Then he taunted, "What are you waiting for, you?" Rage flared in our hero's eyes. "Your arrogance will be your undoing." He finally understood the sword's secret and attacked with the blade of wind. We cut to another location. A man reports to his superior. "The status report on Kim's team is ready." Without turning, the man in the pinstripe suit asked, "Is Kang Woo adjusting well?" This was the master of the Co-Guild, Park Jung-sab. The blonde aide reported, "According to the evaluations..." The young man is still adapting. He then changed the subject. "By the way, you took the Class 4 promotion exam." The master was furious. "How is that possible?" he roared. The boy had been recommended by Yoon Do-ha. We returned to the fight, where Bang is totally trapped. Realizing he faced an elemental mage, he surrendered. Outside, our boy sighed, finally relieved. Siu was impressed. "How did you adapt to elemental magic so fast?" He honestly didn't know either. Jihan just smiled. "We only won because you got his attention." Now, all that was left was the interview test. After a short wait, a name was announced. The Epic Guild, inside Han Hansik and Lee Dong-hago from the Warriors Guild discussed the last group. They both agreed that they didn't deserve to be approved. Our boy knew instantly they were provoking him on purpose. The lead interviewer then noted how impressive it was that Epic Guild alone passed the combat test. They just smiled, saying it was luck. Then Lee, being a jerk, demanded to see her ears. And when she did, he sneered that it was a shame she wasn't half human. His partner told him to watch his mouth as Yu fought the urge to lunge at his throat. The elf urged Jihan to remain calm. And the interview went on until a loaded question was dropped: Korea versus elves. Which side is she on? Saving his friend from the terrible question. Jihan asked if the Warriors Guild had no manners, accusing them of attacking his guildmaster from the start. Furious, the man declared that he asks the questions, unflinching. Jihan said he'd rather fail than endure this humiliation. The elf tried to speak but gave up, realizing it was a lost cause. Back home, our main character apologized, but his ally thanked him, admitting it was the first time anyone had gotten angry for her sake. Curious, the young man asked why she was frantically refreshing the page. The results appeared. They just stared at each other. Elsewhere, Lee gave a pathetic apology for causing a scene. And just like that, Epic Guild passed. It seems the role of first rival had officially been filled. Meanwhile, at Mapui, Hyun's team was swarmed by a crowd of adoring fans. Unlike the guards, the leader politely asked for space, despite secretly hating every second of it. Kangoo asked if they saw the ugly woman at the gate and planned a club trip to see some actual beauties. Annoyed, the mage wondered if he could talk about literally anything else, since it wasn't an all-boys team. The guy just invited her along, saying plenty of models were dying to meet her. While lost in thought, a trio appeared out of nowhere, asking for the squire. The redhead answered, "He left a while ago," and introduced the white-haired man instead. The scarred man wasn't bothered, recalling how incredible the protagonist's skills were, and asked Kim for his contact info. Kang Woo scoffed, saying the guy was totally overrated. The leader changed the subject, demanding his sword to finish off a monster. Nearby, a guard was evacuating a Class 4 zone just as Siu and our boy arrived on the scene. Inside a building, the duo came face to face with a saber-tooth. The elf attacked its flank while Jihan cleaved it in two. Job done. He noted they'd need to call the processing company. Suddenly, a cry for help echoed through the halls, and they rushed to investigate. But upon entering an apartment, they found the screams were just from Jang. Outside, the elf noted that fate must enjoy their reunions. The protagonist took it in stride, noting they got good gear thanks to him and offered him a monster processing contract. The young man accepted with overwhelming gratitude and rushed off to handle the corpses. But the good mood was shattered when the Creature Protection Union showed up. This organization's entire goal is to have humans and monsters coexist in perfect harmony. When asked his opinion, our boy said he completely disagreed with that idea. But he was cut off as union members stormed past the barriers. Readying for a fight, he demanded to know what was going on. One woman broke down seeing a dead monster, apologizing profusely on behalf of all humans. Knowing heroes couldn't attack civilians, Yu decided to just wait for the association to handle it. Then Yoon appeared, introducing himself as the person they hated most. Gasps filled the air. What was a rank 1 hero doing here? Our boy just wondered if the man didn't have anything better to do with his time. With a chilling smile, the Earth Elementalist said it was time for them to go to hell and summoned his elemental, Mumu. The creature's mouth opened, unleashing yellow ropes that instantly bound all the union members. Jihan was stunned. The man's control was so precise it was absurd. The man in glasses then apologized for being late, congratulating them. Our boy said it was all thanks to him for sending such a powerful examiner their way. Moving on, Doha declared he was now eager to see who among them was the strongest. Interrupted by other guilds, the trio decided to leave. Over at a construction site, the hero casually greeted some workers. This, we learn, is the Dice Guild's headquarters, which is expanding its underground training facility. Stepping inside, our hero is stunned. The construction noise has completely disappeared. Siyu's jaw also drops. But at the massive magic barrier, that thing must have cost 20 billion. Park Yong, the guild's vice leader, appears to prepare a room. Pinching his cheek, she asks where he's been slacking off.
After a quick discussion, the Epic Guild members are led to a meeting room.
The man gets straight to it, asking if our hero knows why he's been summoned. Jihan is direct, saying it's about his elemental. He summons Mumu as a dog and tells him to say hello. The man notes the creature looks different, while Mumu just wants to get back to work, until he sees the audience. As the elf fawns over the little one, the man asks Jihan to summon his own elemental.
Our protagonist obliges, introducing Silf. Doha explains Mumu was the only known elemental in the country, and his investigation on it came up empty. He can't get why Jihan left Karos for fun.
So, he wants to know how he contracted a spirit of the wind. Siu takes the lead, revealing Silf had a previous contractor before all this, his own mother. Ernahas is stunned by the news, concluding elementals are far more complex than he thought.
He decides to cut to the chase, offering to buy the Epic Guild for a whopping 20 billion.
The elf asks if he's for real. Doha confirms it, offering personal training and complete freedom. He even promises not to interfere in their actions, but he senses their hesitation. The man offers them time to think, but our hero is faster, declaring the Epic Guild is never for sale. Meanwhile, Jen searches for the team, eager to show off an incredible item he found. Back in the office, the man in glasses assumes the issue is money and offers to increase his bid. Our boy says 20 billion is nowhere near enough. The Epic Guild is destined to become legendary. Grabbing her ally by his clothes, the blonde girl demands to know why he's deciding things alone. Bursting into laughter, Doha mocks the idea of a duo becoming a big guild. Jihan coolly calls it confidence. Giving up on the offer, the man hands over the variant's magic crystal, since the association's research is done.
Our boy accepts it, but asks why he made such a huge fuss earlier. Suddenly, Silf touches the crystal, and a bright flash fills the room. The hero explains elementals consume items like this to grow.
Therefore, if he gathers more crystals, Silf can materialize just like Mumu. We are taken to the UNPC branch, a group determined to prove how vital their mission is. All of a sudden, roars from a rescued saber-toothed tiger interrupt the meeting. An excited woman says she'll fetch the food. As we learn, they feed the creatures with kidnapped old people.
All while pretending to the world they protect monsters and care for the elderly.
Misuim, the branch manager, arrives, saying he brought beautiful children from his trip. He then announces a prototype is ready. It's revealed this group is responsible for the variants.
Approaching the saber-tooth, the man wields his new weapon, saying it will look even more beautiful.
Upon witnessing the result, the other members erupt in non-stop. Thunderous applause. We return to the Class 4 dungeon, which now has a barrier. Seo hopes they find another crystal. Jang appears from nowhere, scaring the duo half to death. He shouts about them disappearing, then dramatically reveals the saber-tooth remains sold for a massive fortune. The elf smirks, saying she knew he could do it. As the young man prepares to discuss his sales commission, our boy declares he will only receive 4%, not leaving any room for debate. Suddenly, a cute creature gets their attention. With her is Minori from the Snowflake Guild. We learn this woman is famous for one thing, hunting down saber-toothed tigers, but no one knows her reasons. Jihan says they better hurry before the chinchilla takes everything. Out of nowhere, the creature appears right behind him, having heard that comment. Siu tells his friend to be careful, but he says it's fine, as if to prove him right. The chinchilla starts licking him. Her owner approaches. Surprised Chilla is interested in anyone else. And so, introductions begin. Her thoughts were cut short. A guy named Sim tried a smooth intro, right before a monster yoinked him. The commotion grabbed everyone's attention. Min, seeing the chaos, just offered a quick apology and a good luck before heading in. Our hero muses to himself. With how famous that girl is getting, she should already be a Class 3 hunter. Ah well, not his problem. He decides to enter too. After a bit, the elf gets impatient. Where are the monsters? He guesses the other guilds already cleared the area. Just as they prepared to ascend to the next floor, a voice rings out from the Knife Guild. It's Kung Jin, asking if they didn't see the sign. Buildings 207 to 209 are ours. Here's the harsh reality when a big guild calls dibs. Smaller teams have to scram, especially a party of 2. Except that's not how this plays out. Yu declares their turf war illegal and threatens a formal complaint with the Ministry of Heroes.
Now threatened, the guild leader activates his brain. Time to calculate his chances of victory.
But before he can attack, the leader calls for help. And look who shows up to crash the party.
A water arrow flies from her bow. It collides with the enemy's flame-tipped shot.
The resulting blast rocks the building, seen from miles away. Our duo uses the chaos to run not away, but as a distraction. Jihan strikes from the sky, taking Kungjin by surprise. He's left wondering if this kid is really just 4th class. A simple leg sweep ends the fight. Our hero completely ignores the man's angry rambling and holds his blade inches from his face. His elven partner, done with the grunts, suggests they call it a day. The guild leader just wonders who the hell they are. A wall of fire blinds one of their tanks. He's completely unaware of the lurking danger. His ally is no better off. The moment he turns, it's far too late. Screams echo, catching our duo's attention. Yu uses his ability, and the result is terrifying, a 0.5% chance of survival. He analyzes the creature, noting he's never encountered a variant this powerful. The enemy guild members start shaking. They choose to ditch our main character and run for their lives. The monster closes in instantly. He's forced to draw his sword and parry the blow. As their weapons clash, he has a realization. Without his elemental coating, the sword would have shattered instantly. He needs to finish this fight with one decisive blow.
Sihu's slow wind strike paralyzes the monster. This creates the perfect chance for him to use the wind blade.
The only problem, the creature dodges and immediately counterattacks, blasting our hero away. Worried, the elf fires a volley of wind arrows, but they do nothing. As the monster charges her, Chilla enters the fray, saving her just in time. The two titans burst out of the building. Min arrives, drawn by the explosion. Finding them is a surprise. She tells the elf to tend to him while she deals with the variant, and she knows these saber-toothed beasts better than anyone. Chilla seems to be winning, but then gets bitten hard. With a shout, Min casts Ice Rain, creating a momentary opening. With her pet, Yuri quickly plans their next attack. She fires a blizzard shot, targeting the saber-tooth's biggest weakness, its agility. The strategy works. The monster falls, its muscles, frozen solid, cause its own joints to break apart. The elf watches, totally impressed. Then she remembers our hero, who, from the ground, urges her to help the ice user. His power reveals Min has a low chance of winning. Down on the battlefield, she readies the final strike, but the variant roars. It's a signal, calling every saber-tooth in the area to its side. Yu asks Sihu if she knows levitation. To some extent, she replies. He pulls her close by the waist. Use it when I give the signal. He then leaps through the hole, shouting it's the only way. Yuri takes down a few monsters, but another gets behind her, forcing Chilla to make a save.
Boxed in on all sides, she knows she has to eliminate the variant now.
While falling, he tells his friend to cast levitation. She immediately obeys. The problem: her magic isn't strong enough to halt their descent. Out of options, he prepares a wind bomb, aiming to repeat his earlier success. They crash to the ground. He notes that despite being efficient, he used way too much mana. And so they run. The Tamer snaps that she told them to stay out of it, insisting she can handle this. Our boy, intrigued, asks what her beef is with saber-toothed cats. Chilla shouts a warning that part of the creature is still moving. But Jihan corrects him. It's the variant, and it's spawning minions while healing itself. That sound triggers a tragic memory from the man's past. Shaking it off, the protagonist says they can win this if they work together. But he's flat out ignored, leaving him to wonder why she's acting so reckless. After clearing the minions, the Tamer finally stands before the variant. But a moment's hesitation gives it an opening. Our hero appears, quipping that he wouldn't eat his food cold. He follows with a powerful sword strike, relieving the beast of one of its paws. Chilla tackles the normal cats as the elf unleashes wind arrows. But as Yu moves in for the kill, Yuri blocks him, yelling that she needs the variant alive. The protagonist has to ask if she's completely lost her mind, but she simply says he shall not pass. Suddenly, the creature begins to transform, drawing the others toward it.
A new challenger enters the battle, manipulating gravity and calling the trio amateurs.
Another agrees, disappointed they can't handle simple felines. He reveals they are Bang Yoon's elite team.
Watching from a rooftop, Minsalim smirks that he was waiting for the pros to arrive. He then declares it's time to retreat, as a mana crystal has fused with the variant's body.
At this point, there's nothing left for them to do but proceed with the original plan. Below, Eunuch remarks that the hero department will have a huge mess to clean up now.
For their trouble, the trio is ejected from the area. A week later, Jang wants details, but our boy remains tight-lipped.
We learn the grim truth: 8 heroes died during the saber-toothed cat rampage. Thinking back, Yu realizes the timing was too perfect to be a simple coincidence. The guild's direct line rings, and he wonders who would be calling it. To his utter surprise, it's Min on the other end, apologizing. She says it was her only way to reach him. They make small talk for a bit before she cuts to the chase and asks to meet him that very day. The proposal leaves Sim in total shock. Elsewhere, Siu's father calls, having heard about the variant and wanting to check on her. Kim Jono is relieved Jihan is there for his daughter and hopes to meet the man who inherited his late wife's element. A woman calls him away, but he ends the call, promising to visit Korea on the anniversary of her mother's death. Alone, she starts to tidy up, only for her phone to start ringing again. In the city, our boy is dressed to impress while waiting for the ice girl. She finally approaches, relieved that he also just arrived. The two head to a restaurant, totally unaware they're being followed. Fuming, the elf is certain that Tamer is trying to steal her ally. This duo of spies tails the couple relentlessly, convinced this is obviously a date. Despite saying she doesn't care, Seo can't figure out why she feels so annoyed. As the sun sets, Yu says he had a great time. Min agrees, But her smile fades when he asks the real reason for their meeting. With no escape, the young woman asks him to accompany her somewhere important.
They arrive at a hospital, where his ability activates inside a room, revealing a girl with mana discoloration syndrome.
It's here that Yuria reveals she and her sister were attacked by saber-toothed cats 4 years ago, which left the girl like this. This is why she's been obsessively hunting the creatures for answers. But now, knowing a cure is impossible to get from them, she wishes to apologize for her actions the other day. As he looks at the young woman, our boy sees she's a key figure for his guild's future, just like when he rescued Jang. That's why he hired him to see how his power would react. He concludes this new mission will require 3 more people. A wave of dizziness hits him, but he declares he'll do whatever it takes. He then asks how long she's been hunting. After hearing 4 years, Jihan wonders if it's time to try another method. Min is confused, so he decides to use a medicine as an example. He brings up a common ingredient, Indian pennywort, which grows in the wild and has powerful healing properties. So even if the plants weren't the direct cause of the wounds, they were still vital for the healing. The real cure for Soyeon wasn't in saber-toothed cats at all. The Tamer knew this, but hunted them anyway, consumed by her thirst for revenge. Cutting to the chase, our hero makes an offer. Join him, and he'll help find a cure for her sister. His ability shows no guaranteed recovery. Yuri needs time to think, so he gives her that space. As he leaves, he gives her the bracelet from Sim, calling it a good luck charm.
She thanks him, and for now, they part ways.
Over at the Co-Guild's headquarters, Park is fuming over a latecomer. Of course, it's Yoon, who casually strolls in complaining. Junil, master of the Warriors Guild, asks if he has any shame for keeping them all waiting. He then explodes after a joke about his guild's failure in the Class 1 MA. Amused by the drama, Baek Gang-chan asks if they really must act like children. Challenged to a fight, he just scoffs, refusing to waste time on someone so weak. Ming Jung, from the Snowball Guild, wonders about their fragile masculinity. Doha just mocks that age hasn't been kind to her.
A man in a suit starts the briefing. They're here about a new lead on the Class 4 Mitsu incident.
He reveals signs of UIPC involvement. Yun excitedly asks if this means they're raiding headquarters. Calling him an idiot? The red-eyed woman states the UIPC is global. Mere evidence isn't permission to attack. The mediator agrees, urging caution before this spirals. He then plays a video of the variant, a truly bizarre monster. He then brings up other similar cases that have recently appeared. Janelle demands to know why he's sharing this intel. The man reveals a DNA study found a new genetic marker, an artificial liquid monocrystal combination, unlike anything natural.
Questioned. Doha feigns ignorance but has no doubt who is behind such experiments.
Beck demands to know the UIPC's connection to all this. The man explains suspicious figures were seen that day, using the MA as cover. And one person, caught by a drone, is Lim Min-soo, a researcher fired 4 years ago.
He was from magical engineering, fired for stealing a monocrystal for human tests. Their duty now is to stop him.
Meanwhile, Yu worries about Sei, who ignoring his texts, and how he'll pay the Tamer if she joins. In a taxi, the driver recognizes him as a hero. He even knows the Epic Guild, since he lived in the area attacked by those saber-toothed cats. During their chat, a young hybrid girl catches their attention, and the taxi driver immediately reveals his ugly prejudice. Our hero understands the fear, but she's just a child who doesn't deserve such judgment. Seeing 2 men tailing her, he tells the driver to stop. The girl makes a run for it, but they grab her. The men gloat that the VIPs will be pleased. But Jihan appears, giving them 3 seconds to release the girl. As he moves in, a huge brute blocks his path, telling him to mind his own business.
At the Fun Guild headquarters, Jang asks why CU is ignoring the main character's messages. She screams that it's all just spam, but then she sees the last text about a kidnapping, and her eyes go wide. Back at the fight, our hero asks if the big guy works for the kidnappers.
He gets no response, only a simple threat, time for you to die. His fist shatters the pavement. Our hero dodges, appearing behind him to block the next blow. He feels the man's mana. Is he a hero? 2. The other 2 thugs use the distraction, dragging the girl into a van. With no openings, the enemy resumes his relentless assault. He realizes he must end this in a single blow. Suddenly, a new person arrives, saying he won't allow them to level the entire block. He adds that our boy is lucky they're in a hurry. After scolding someone named Sayo13, the white-haired man and the brute simply vanish. Knowing something is very wrong, the protagonist leaps high, using his sampling ability to find the fastest route to the van. Mid-chase, his phone rings. He quickly explains everything to Siyu and tells her to call the police. The elf brooded over the recent spike in hate crimes. Jihan found the suspicious van, parked deep in the forest. A lookout napping inside jolts awake at a sound. One look out the window sends him into a full-blown panic.
Our hero smashes the window, cutting off his warning call before it starts.
He orders the thug out for a talk. Once subdued, the hero demands to know everything that's happening here. Inside an abandoned mansion, a horrifying scene unfolds. Several hybrids are bound and helpless. A man in a suit presents the product of the day, boasting it's the human-cat hybrid a VIP requested. The terrified girl screams, hysterically offering them any amount of money they want. But the leader just scoffs. He's already getting $900 million for her sale. Tears stream down her face as she prays, desperately hoping for a miracle to save her. The boss orders his lackey to hide the bodies before clients arrive. Screaming, the hybrid cries out, "Don't you know this is illegal?" The boss sneers, telling her to face reality. No one cares about hybrids. Not after what happened to humans. Determined to fight back, the girl tries to summon her power. But her mana is completely blocked. The suited goon slams her down, revealing they used a mana suppressor. With that cruel message delivered, the leader orders her taken to the reception area. Suddenly, a massive crash echoes from above. Our hero makes his grand entrance right through the ceiling. He glares at the villains. "You're all under arrest, by order of a hero." Shocked, the suited man sputters. "I thought my men already took care of you." He surveys the scene, realizing it's worse than he thought. He's done waiting for the cops. These criminals are just monsters. The leader grovels, pleading for his life and blaming his superiors. But it's just a ploy, buying time for an ambush. Too bad for them. They have no idea just how fast our hero truly is. In a flash, all his men are on the ground. The boss is the last one standing, but not for long. He removes the tape from her mouth. She immediately asks who he is, but he doesn't answer. He says he's there to help and asks for her statement later. When she asks about the others, his reply is grim. No one else survived. The truth shatters her, and she begins to weep. He knows words are useless now. Outside, his partner waits for news. Elsewhere, Lim examines a sample, noting they can almost manipulate mana crystals with 100% accuracy. A mysterious figure mentions the incident, asking if the organization can still function with the association watching them. Assured it can. He gives a simple warning, keep the trouble away from him. He then complains about the supply line delays caused by Jihan's interference. Downing a vial of liquid crystal, the branch manager vows he'll handle the boy himself. Back at the factory, only 12 children were found alive. The elf asks if he handled everything alone. He confirms it, regretting he couldn't save them all. But at least the culprits have been captured. Noticing her somber expression, the boy feels he understands her pain a little. Still, he knows they needed the criminals alive. It's the only way to uncover the entire operation. Our hero informs an officer about the incoming VIP client. The officer will investigate and says a victim wants to speak with him. It turns out the rescued hybrid asked the pair to take her home instead of the police. She lives at Casadanza Seoul, a home for vulnerable youth of all species. At the door, a woman calls for Rexus. The girl runs into her arms, apologizing, even though she was the victim. The woman, Yoon Young, introduces herself as the director of Casa da Crianza. She thanks the duo for saving the girl and invites them in for tea. Inside, Jihan notes how quiet the place is. The director explains that all the other children are already asleep. But that's not quite true. As 3 kids burst out to hug Rexus, she promises to put them to bed and return. In the living room, the director admits she was so rattled by the police call that she told the other children everything. The elf asks if any other victims were from here. The director sadly says they were from other nearby facilities. Just then, Ela appears with tea. Learning the duo saved the girl, she offers her heartfelt thanks. Yoon Young then reveals a dark history. 4 years ago, 2 children were taken, but only the young redhead ever came back alive. Nervously, the elf offers their assistance. The woman refuses. Past heroes offered help, only to prove deceitful. When Isla vanished, only the Dice Guild came to their aid. For that reason, many benefactors now hold a bitter grudge against all heroes. Showing her ears, the blonde insists the director needn't worry about the old conflict between humans and hybrids. She affirms that despite suffering great prejudice, she knows some people choose understanding over judgment. Gazing at the two, the woman feels a flicker of hope that even reaches Rexus, hiding just outside the door. After they leave, CU apologizes to him. He says she has no reason to, but the donation will strain the guild's finances. Still, he vows to support any decision she makes, as long as it isn't harmful. Seizing the moment, she asks why he met with those men without telling her a thing. Suddenly, our Exus bursts in shouting, saying her earlier shock prevented her from properly thanking them. The little girl gives the duo an artifact from Karam, the world she once called her home. As a token of her gratitude, the gesture stuns them, especially since the item is a massive mana crystal. Back at the Epic Guild headquarters, the elf fumes upon learning the Proa recruited Yuri. He justifies it, saying it's time for a rank 4 guild to scout for new talent. The blonde girl flushes with embarrassment, recalling how she thought the two were on a date. She asks if it's even possible to recruit someone like the Tamer. Our hero says they'll only know if they try, and an opportunity like this is once in a lifetime. Trying to act tough, CU warns him to talk to her first next time, then abruptly changes the topic, asking when they'll use the crystal. Jihan says he thought of giving it to Sil, but realized this was a perfect learning opportunity. The elemental clearly hates the idea. When summoned, It desperately tries to hide until a short chat convinces it to.
Approach the crystal, preventing Sil from eating. The pro-A warns that if she keeps acting like a spoiled brat,
She'll gain nothing. He then assigns her small tasks, making Siyu remark that his mother treated the little being like a dear friend, while he treats it like a common pet. After finishing the tasks, the elemental moves
toward the crystal, causing an explosion of light far brighter than before. The sphere begins to crack.
Yu wonders if the little creature is actually materializing. Another flash erupts, and he opens his eyes in a new place. A voice echoes, telling the young man not to panic. This is merely a virtual space. Confused, the protagonist says he never knew she could speak, and learns this space is only temporary. With time running out, the elemental warns they are being targeted. Just as she regained her strength, so too are their enemies. So, he must watch the people around him closely, since those we trust most often have the most to hide. Unable to reveal her identity, Silf begs our hero to protect Siyu. It is the will of Arahath, and why he was chosen. As the talk concludes, the being says he will understand everything in time. The protagonist wakes to the elf's concerned face and explains what happened. Interrupting them, the fairy appears, revealing her brand new form. We cut to the UIPC branch, where Lim grills Psi 013 and Psi 015 about the kidnapping that cost them their base. The white-haired creation attempts to explain herself, but is cut off by the scientist, who snarls at them to bring him Jihan's head. Suddenly, a man bursts in, warning that heroes have invaded the building, arresting everyone on the association's orders. We flash back to moments before, when Bang got a call from Doha, who bluntly stated he needed him to arrest an IUPC manager. When asked if the heroes department had signed off on the arrest, the elementalist says he took a risk. If they keep following protocol, they'll never get anywhere. Before hanging up, he reveals someone in the association is working with the enemy, so it's best not to team up with other guilds. Back in the present, Eunuch sees no one. There seems to be a major threat. Another hero reports that no one will reveal the manager's location. A man on the floor sneers that they'll all die when he arrives. Impatient, the examiner orders the young man to make him talk. Obeying, he reveals that the Blessed Ones are on their way. Suddenly, the group feels an ominous presence approaching. We see it's the scientist's two deadly creations. Smiling, the white-haired boy says he was looking for someone to vent his anger on. Realizing the danger, Bang demands to know where Minsu is. Say 015 scoffs, knowing it doesn't matter. They'll all be empty husks in moments. The heroine draws her blade, blocking the strike, but the creature snatches the office staff as hostages. Seeing his ally was distracted, the ninja leaps in, saving her from C013's assault. This opens a path for the man in white to slam the enemy's face into the ground. Zarens tries to flee but is struck down by Eunuch. He realizes the reports were completely wrong. They never mentioned this guy's overwhelming power. As the team regroups, the examiner demands a report on the injured. The white-haired creation laughs maniacally, asking why Say 013 hasn't drunk the blessing, showing he's already had his dose. Back at Dice Guild headquarters, Jigyong demands to know why Sihu and Yu are there. The elf says they must see Yoon, but the woman claims he's out. An agent bursts in, yelling that they've lost all contact with Bang's squad. Hearing about the IUPC, our hero wants to know exactly what's going on. In the helicopter, the guild's vice leader spills the classified intel. The original plan was a joint guild investigation in a few days. The elf asks why the Dice Guild decided to go rogue. Turns out, it's because Doha doesn't trust the other groups. So they launched their own secret investigation. But with contact lost, calling for backup now would expose their entire operation. They had to take the lead. The protagonist notes that since they're a new guild, nobody will find them suspicious. Besides, sneaking in will be a piece of cake. We see his true goal is to test Sil's new abilities. When asked to use levitation, his ally questions why on earth he'd want to jump from the chopper. With no time to think, he simply leaps out, inside the branch. Eunuch wakes up, startled, asking if his allies are okay. But to his absolute horror, everyone is on the ground, lifeless. That's when he realizes his arm is gone and begins to scream. At that moment, he blames himself for everything. S015 appears, asking if he's just going to lie there crying. Instead of a new version, C013 appears. His new form is a hulking, monstrous gorilla. The swordsman realizes the enemies have merged with monsters. He knows he has to warn Doha immediately. Hansuk wakes up, apologizing through his tears for failing to protect everyone. Seeing the look in his eyes, the commander orders him to stay put and wait for backup. Hiding his face, the hero tells the man to forget everything and just run. Suddenly, the gorilla appears and crushes him instantly. Enraged, Bang charges forward, screaming that he'll kill the creatures. However, he's sent flying by 13. Amused, 15 tells the gorilla not to kill him, as they'll use him for information. Just then, Yu appears, stating that no one is leaving this place. Startled, Sue insists they call for reinforcements. But our hero knows it is far too late for that. Remembering his orders, the giant beast charges, Our hero tells his ally he'll handle this alone, telling her to stay back and stay safe. It's time for Sil to shine with the elemental's mana. The protagonist meets the attack with his sword, unleashing a blow called Aura Blade, which causes a blinding flash. It is revealed that elemental manipulation from a true connection with an elemental is on a completely different level. For him, connecting was easy. His problem was a lack of mana. But now that Sil has evolved, the limiters are off, and he is a true wind elementalist.
He sees his powerful ally get obliterated in a single hit.
015 wonders how it's even possible. As it vanishes, the creature mindlessly repeats the orders it was given. Seeing the strange purple glow in its mana, our hero finally understands how the mutation works. Facing what's left, he declares that this time, fleeing isn't an option. He will expose everything the UIPC is planning. Even knowing he's no match for the young man, the creature is more afraid of returning empty-handed. Playing dirty, he grabs Bang as a hostage, threatening to snap his neck if they don't back off. Lowering his blade, our hero agrees that if the creature lets him go, he will do what was asked. Smiling, Say 015 thinks he just has to stall a little longer for his own reinforcements to arrive. But he learns the hard way that our hero was bluffing. Striking again, Jihan asks if he really thought he was that naive. The creature can't understand how it was hit, especially in its second form. But now, nothing more can be done. With his foe defeated, our hero wonders again, what is the UIPC plotting? And where is Lim? But the creature just smirks. It finally sees why the manager views the boy as a threat, offering an invitation to join the blessed. The answer is a firm no. The monster scoffs, calling him a clueless child who will soon learn his boss's grand design. Desperate, Sihu calls out to Bang. He trembles, asking why she's there. Learning Park sent them as backup. Shame washes over him.
Obeying orders to stay still, the commander asks if a monster was actually defeated.
The elf reassures him, saying Jihan took care of them both. Confused, the hero insists he still senses immense mana radiating from a nearby foe. Startling our hero, a voice asks what's happening. His reply is a sword slash, earning a quip about swinging sharp blades near a lady. Utterly baffled, our boy wonders who she is. Stepping closer, the young woman declares he is her type. Yu instantly denies her, wondering if this is just another one of their twisted experiments. Jerry spots Sei 015, joking he'll catch a cold lying on the floor. The creature begs for another crystal. It gets a fist right to the face instead. With the job done, she turns to our hero, stating he gets one chance. He asks why she just killed her own ally. She mocks him. People like that are just dead weight, good for nothing but slowing things down. She lunges into an attack, screaming that she can't stand loudmouths. Sil flashes forward to protect him. The enemy is shocked, but gets blown back with force, causing an explosion. Our boy decides to fall back to Sihu. But Jerry emerges, very much alive and still extremely interested in him. With no other option, he concludes this crazy woman must be dealt with first. The elemental returns to his blade as he delivers a fatal strike, but she vanishes at the last possible second. Yu is just as quick, blocking the surprise attack. Using his sample ability, he's certain she can't dodge the next one. His conclusion is wrong, as she escapes yet again. From a distance, Jerry notes that defeating the others wasn't just a fluke. Our hero decides to end this now with his aura blade. Thrilled, the villainess dashes forward, shouting that she is ready. Ready to level the whole place, Jihan prepares to attack, but Lim appears. He scolds his ally, then introduces himself. Annoyed, the woman demands to know why he's there when she said she'd handle everything. After discussing 015 and 013, the scientist tells her to grab the mana crystals and leave. With his sword at the man's throat, our hero says no one is going anywhere. Then, he issues an arrest warrant. Hearing reinforcements are coming, the enemy simply smiles. That was exactly what he was waiting for. It was all part of his plan. Yu feels an immense mana pressure, leaning on his sword to keep from collapsing. Staring him down, the scientist reveals his plan was for all 6 guildmasters to show up. Our hero is stunned. He realizes there's a traitor inside the association. Smiling cruelly, the man asks if he never considered a mole in the organization. In the president's office, Yoon Junyoung says it's time. Yoon appears outside the room, remarking that the man seems to be in a hurry. Then he asks what it feels like to be a traitor. Before he can utter a word, the president is brutally attacked. Slammed against the wall, he asks for a reason. The hero snaps back that he's the only one who could have leaked info to the UIPC, deciding to drop the act. The man's face twists in fear as he asks how long Doha has known. He thought his tracks were covered perfectly. Smiling, the elementalist says his instincts are never wrong. And he never liked the man anyway. A non-hero acting like one. Beginning his transformation, Yun states he didn't get this far by flattering people. Revealing his new form, he boasts the UIPC's science is beyond imagination. Doha mocks him, asking if he fused with a bat. Lunging, the president screams the era of heroes is over and he'll eliminate them all. With just a single hand, Doha creates a shield of solid rock. But the enemy shatters it like glass. The hero grabs the bat's arm and rips it off, remarking that he prefers hand-to-hand combat.
Unfazed, Junyoung unleashes a dark pulse attack.
The elementalist realizes his body has truly fused with a monster's. The force of the blow carves a crater in the wall. Drunk with power, the president scoffs that the Dice Guild members were crushed like insects. Unfazed, Yoon declares he despises noisy monsters. A true hero, he adds, is always ready to risk it all. And Bang surely didn't fall so easily. His patience wearing thin, he decides to summon Mumu. The beast devours the building, trapping Yoon in an earthen prison. Suddenly, the giant bat laughs, revealing the joint investigation was just a clever ruse. They managed to capture numerous heroes, even members of the 6 great guilds. With the city's defenders gone, their sinister plan is finally set in motion.
Down on the streets, a little boy points to the sky, asking his mom what that thing is. Panic erupts, but Minjong paralyzes the beast just in time, saving the pair. Elsewhere, however, horrifying creatures are running rampant.
Handling his own sector, Junil lets out a yawn, admitting he was getting bored.
Hai is also in the mayhem, wondering where all these enemies are coming from. Focused on reaching Class 1, Junyoung is stunned. Where did all these heroes come from? Doa reveals she called everyone back to the city, even from the branch.
We see Bayak soaring through the air, admiring the building before asking the scientist if he minds him crashing the party. Every head turns, sensing an overwhelming presence. The leader of the nation's top guild, Korea's most powerful hero, has arrived. The scientist stammers, demanding to know why he isn't fighting the monster invasion. The hero coolly replies that someone insisted he be here, greeting our boy and asking if he's allied with Minsu. Our protagonist flatly denies it, noting inwardly that the hero's mana feels even more intense. Genshan states that whether the Dice Guild noticed or not, he's taking everyone present. He then unleashes his revealed daydream. The panicked scientist tells Jerry to forget the mana crystals. They have to escape now.
A confident smirk appears.
The hero reveals there's no way out. They're all trapped inside his dream palace, where no one leaves without his permission. You can't believe one person created this vast space, but he knows there's no more time to waste. As the young man moves to attack, the hero instantly shifts to block his path. But Lim's plans were far darker, now transformed. The scientist is ecstatic to finally confront such a powerful hero. His research's final form is a macabre sight. Beck warns that there might be a backup plan, telling Jihan to stay out of the fight. Our boy tries to object, but his protest is useless.
After his attack hits a wall, the villain's frustration begins to mount.
But he realizes the structure's size must be draining the hero's mana. All he needs to do is wear him down. Ready for battle, the hero tells him to just watch, unleashing a multiple conjuration that slices the enemy from all angles. Unfazed, Minsu boasts that thanks to the mana crystals, his recovery is almost instantaneous. But he's caught off guard by Gangxian, who asks if he can heal after being completely obliterated. The sheer impact of the dimensional obliteration forces our hero to shield his eyes.
Staring at what's left, the hero wonders how he's still alive. Lim reveals all his crystals were destroyed, except for one. Impatient, our hero crushes the final piece, muttering that he talks too much.
Jerry intervenes, declaring she won't let the scientist die. The Dream Palace's weakness is revealed its massive mana consumption.
Plus, the user must keep a safe distance. If anyone gets too close, the skill backfires, leaving the caster exposed. That's why he always keeps his perception enhanced.
But this time, her stealth was so perfect. He'd completely forgotten she was in the room. Without even turning, the boy asks if the girl is an Asian. He says he knows her species well, since he was the one who exterminated them. 14 years ago, the Asians started a war that nearly changed the planet's course. Curious, the hero asks why she joined the UIPC. Was she seeking revenge? Jerry just laughs. Revenge for losers, no. A world drowning in chaos is simply much more entertaining. That's precisely why she can't let Minsu die. Her boss has grand plans for that man. Beck asks if she's talking about the Asian leader who supposedly died years ago. She hints that perhaps he's alive, but says the conversation is over. Smiling, the hero tells her to look behind her. With perfect timing, Yu strikes with his aura blade, unleashing a massive explosion. Gangshan remarks that the kid almost cut him in half. His wind manipulation is impressive. But Jerry reappears, proving Asians are incredibly hard to kill. Seeing the woman open a spatial rift, our boy readies a strike, but the hero stops him, calling it a futile effort. As he thinks, he recalls only 2 people knew his magic this well, Doha and the Azizian leader. Before vanishing, she promises they'll meet again. This threat worries Bayak. Korea might not be the only target. The hero reveals he overheard everything, asking if the Asians just broke their treaty. Ignoring the question, he announces their trip to Seoul. He'll even send reinforcements to help the Dice Guild. Mid-journey, our boy feels his stomach lurch, wondering why no one warned him about teleport sickness. We cut to the city where Sayas is trapped by a monster. She calls him, and he demands to know why she ditched him in this chaos. And just like that, the elf realizes monsters have invaded the city. During their call,
The monster pinpoints the boy's hiding spot.
But before the worst happens, a savior arrives. The scrap collector is saved by none other than Kim Gono, a former Class 3 hero and the elf's father. Baek and Yuji Han finally arrive in Seoul. Our boy immediately complains that his guts feel completely scrambled. The hero explains the UIPC is to blame for the city's ruin. Enraged, the young man asks for their motive. With the Hero Association in chaos, Gangshin decides their next stop is the Dice Guild. Knowing he might face an old acquaintance, our hero knows he must stay sharp. Doha appears, casually mentioning he wasn't the only one waiting for them. Junil and Mingjong grumble about the delay, while Yu realizes he's surrounded by Korea's absolute best.
Park rushes over, asking frantically about Eunuch and the squad. Our boy can only apologize, revealing the commander was the sole survivor.
He adds that Eunuch is badly injured and will be brought by the Red Hall members. The Shaken Earth Elemental demands to know what happened on site. The hero apologizes for his failure, but confirms the Asianians are alive, including Ryus, who started the war 14 years ago. The warrior's leader yells that it's impossible, but the heroine cuts him off, reminding him of their pact to never speak of that time. Furious, Yoon threatens that if Baek is wrong, he'll personally snap his neck. Jihan is confused by the tension, trying to guess who the unexpected person is. Nearby, the Karyo Guild spots the heroes and moves in, but Kim argues against it, saying this is their chance to prove the group's strength. Kang Woo notices Yu and demands to know who he is and why he's with the guildmasters. Seeing the boy, the redhead remembers expelling him, telling him not to take it personally. It was for safety. But when pressed, he admits he saw him as a useless meddler, too unskilled to be of any real help. On that very day, our boy had declared that no matter how hard the man tried, he would never reach rank 1. Hearing Jihan's name, Jono, who was nearby, asks where he can be found.
We jump to a branch office where Red Hall members are searching for the Dice Guild heroes.
A soldier finds only Bang, asking about the woman who was supposed to be with him. Suddenly, binding magic traps them all. The elf emerges from hiding, asking if the UIPC sent them. Removing his helmet, one of them reveals he knows Chihu, remarking on how small the world is. It's Yeonji Jong, from their old hero academy. The crow's leader demands to know who the man is. He simply replies that he's a civilian. Enraged, Kim threatens him to reveal his identity if he wants to leave alive. Sim intervenes, saying he can explain. The young man introduces himself and the mysterious man.
Shun is completely starstruck, realizing she's face to face with a legend. Gono, the hero who led them to victory in the war 10 years ago.
The man just smiles, saying she's exaggerating a bit, while the fangirling woman asks for an autograph. Baek appears out of nowhere, teasing that if the redhead keeps frowning, he'll get even more wrinkles. Everyone is shocked. They never sensed his approach. He came to see their spies, then asks what the elf's father is doing in Korea. The old man gets straight to the point, stating he has family matters to attend to. He then reveals that today is the anniversary of Erna's death. This news clearly makes Gang Chan uncomfortable. He teleports next to the researcher, inviting him out for a drink. Just then, Sai hears Jihan's voice and sprints toward him. At that moment, our protagonist spots his old guild. He greets Kim, who nervously tells him not to get cocky just because he met some rank 1 heroes. Our boy scoffs. The man hasn't changed a bit, still acting like a total child. He then recalls the man's words about his expulsion, and hearing them again ignites the red-haired guy's fury. Doha barely stops him from attacking, laughing. He claims he was holding back, or he'd have planted the guy's face in the ground.
As everyone leaves, Hyun vows to make the young man pay for that humiliation.
With the team assembled, the elf's father reveals he knew about the Asians, having tracked their mana traces all over Japan.
Junil realizes Bae was telling the truth, while our boy finds out the researcher was his unexpected meeting.
Getting straight to business, the man warns him to stay out of it, because the Aeons are now after Sil and her daughter. We cut to the young woman in a helicopter with Jong, about to land. After disembarking, the elf confirms they're in Seoul. The girl says yes, adding that civilians have been evacuated. They talk about how the blonde cared more for humans than herself, right before JNO and his entire cavalry show up. The man says he's just relieved to see that the young woman is safe, but gets a bone-crushing hug in response, finally ending the chaotic day. In the aftermath, more heroes were sent to Seoul. As cities dealt with the last monsters, UIPC members in Korea were arrested and placed under investigation. The Hero Association couldn't escape responsibility either. Doha and the others had to report everything in a hearing, even though they were the ones who saved the day.
Details on the Asians were kept secret, but the guilds agreed to help the government find Jerry. We were taken to the National Intelligence Service, where Siyu and Yu are freed after a 10-hour interrogation.
Outside, the elf's father waited for them to visit the cemetery. At the gravestone, they both spoke to Ara.
Pained by his words, the blonde excuses herself to the bathroom to cry, just as she does every time they visit.
Even after a decade, Jono proves he can't let go of his love or understand why she had to leave so soon. At the Epic Guild headquarters, Jihan is relieved to finally be able to get some rest. Lying down, He replays everything that happened, including the researcher's warning that the Asians would come for him again. We learn Seo's mother was killed by Rios, who desperately wanted Silf for himself. Now, history could repeat. Knowing this, our boy concludes he must get as strong as Beck and Doha. Suddenly, the door bursts open, startling him. A voice calls out, "I knew I would find you here." It's Min, who has apparently been searching everywhere for our protagonist. Later that day, Sim is walking when two boys talking about a video catch his attention. Someone filmed the heroes' meeting, because Ji Han was there. People are buzzing that he's a new rising hero. All this convinces the scrap collector that the Epic Guild is destined for even greater fame. He arrives home, only to find Yuri talking with the protagonist. She says seeing him on the news helped her make a decision. She then reveals she came to accept his offer to join the guild. Outside, Jen completely misunderstands, thinking they're discussing dating, and gets hilariously jealous. Smiling, our boy says they'll sort the contract with See You later, thinking how she'll be a great asset against the Aans. The scrap collector's hiding spot is immediately revealed by Chilla, who seems to adore the young man. In the car, the elf learns about their new member and says she's on her way to discuss the terms. JNO asks if it's the Tamer, mentioning she's quite well known in Japan too. This means his daughter's guild is becoming seriously impressive. Siyu smiles, saying he'll work hard to build his mother's dream, a guild for people of different species. At HQ, the researcher introduces himself. He judges the calluses on her hands, recognizing them as proof of her incredible skill. Watching this, Jihan understands the man's caution, especially now with the Asian threat. Chilla hovers over Sai. The researcher is amazed it can grow to 3 meters, but nearly loses a hand trying to take a fur sample. Yuri promises to give him a sample later, explaining her friend isn't a fan of strangers. We see she's lying through her teeth. She knows exactly why Chilla suddenly became so aggressive. We're taken to the UIPC branch in London, where a very important meeting is about to begin. Isaac Becker, the organization's president, takes center stage. He admits calling Roos to clean up the mess from their failed Korea plan. Elsewhere, Minsu awakens, stepping out from a flawless tank. Jerry appears, announcing she's waited for 3 whole days. She confirms the plan failed, and his other self is dead. Baffled, the scientist asks why they even brought him back. The Asian leader enters, stating the man still has his uses. The girl rushes for a hug, but her boss dodges, letting her fall. Lim feels he shouldn't be alive. Rio scoffs, unsurprised they failed against a rank 1 hero, adding that Jihan was there too. At the Epic Guild, Jono prepares to leave, confident now that Sihu's squad has another top-tier hero. The elf insists on seeing Silf before he goes, but our hero admits he's tried summoning her for days with no luck. Jono figures the elemental just needs a break, promising he'll find her another day. He reminds our hero of the promise to protect his daughter. Alone. He murmurs that the wheels of fate are already turning. Curious, the elf asks what he and the researcher talked about. Our main character plays it cool, saying it was nothing important, and decides to head home now that guild business is done. Sei stops him, asking for a small favor, a quick trip to the bank for her. In a flash, our hero returns, now holding a shiny new credit card. Turns out the government issues VIP corporate cards based on guild rank to help with operational costs. His sword is drawing stares, but he figures it's better to be safe. This city only seems calm, after all. Suddenly, he bumps into a hybrid. What's one of them doing out in broad daylight? A gloomy sight, for sure. Rios appears, whispers, "Found you," then vanishes. An argument between a woman and another hybrid catches Yu's eye. A crowd watches, but no one lifts a finger to help the ragged-looking young man. Our protagonist steps forward, his mind set on intervening. The hybrid transforms. Snarling he'll eat the vendor for nagging about cucumbers. Our hero screams for everyone to run. The hybrid asks if he's the next course. When told no, he simply decides to kill him instead. The system shows his victory chance at 76%. The creature lunges with razor claws, and they clash in a blur. For someone at Jihan's level, taking down a hybrid should be easy. Or so the theory goes. He desperately calls for Silf, but she's a no-show, giving the werewolf a chance to catch the sword in its teeth. The beast tries to shatter the blade, but it's too tough, and he's sent flying. Our hero sighs in relief. His sword is safe, but his elemental manipulation is still offline. Even with good odds, this fight is far from guaranteed. The hybrid mocks him. "You seem a little distracted there, pal." Shaking it off, he demands to know why the creature killed someone. The werewolf just laughs. "Who needs a reason to kill?" Yu declares that settles it. It's time for the hybrid to die. So much for waiting on other heroes to show up. They charge at each other once more, their blows clashing in a flurry of motion. Our hero reads every attack, until a sudden mid-strike feint throws off the stats, leaving his arm injured. He curses his sealed elemental powers. With no choice left, he steels himself for a counterattack. Suddenly, Lai Mia appears, shocking them both. The hybrid is caught off guard and takes a devastating hit. The young woman immediately asks what happened to his arm. Terrified,
The werewolf starts to apologize, but she cuts him off. Too late! She slams his head into the ground again.
Watching the carnage, our hero gets why they call her the Crimson Killer. Soon, the police and cleanup crew arrive. Our protagonist walks over, his wounds already treated, and asks what the heroine is doing there. A crowd gathers and starts whispering. Our hero grabs her wrist, insisting they should get out of there.
Perched atop a building, Rios wonders why he didn't use his elemental powers. We cut to the Dice Guild headquarters. Beck wonders aloud since when businessmen were invited. Eyeing Yonggab. Questioned, the man claims a vital business meeting kept him away during the attack on Seoul. Everyone's eyes are drawn to the single empty chair still remaining. Doha explains its occupant just returned from Russia. The other heroes groan, clearly not thrilled about who's coming. Guakang of the Destiny Guild arrives, smirking that some things, it seems, never change. A tense silence fills the room. That is, until Junil tells the newcomer to drop the bottle, or he'll take it by force. The boy just scoffs, asking for a break. He claims he's only drinking because facing them sober is impossible. Besides, being exiled from his own country has left a seriously bitter taste. This is the legendary 5th member of the Suicide Squad that crushed the Azans a decade ago. When it comes to tracking and assassination, nobody does it better. But 5 years after the war, this hero was exiled to Russia for leaking classified information. Minjong tells Yubak to drop the Victim Act, since he tried to leak their 10-year-old secret. The hero just laughs, saying the truth won't stay buried forever. Yoon cuts in, reminding them that their silence about that fateful day was part of their agreement. After getting that off his chest, the newcomer apologizes for his disrespect. Beck says it's good he understands, then officially welcomes him to the team. With that settled, the real meeting begins. The topic how they're going to eliminate Jihan and Rios. Meanwhile, in the city, our protagonist is still holding Limia's hand, searching for a more private spot. When she asks about his attitude, he says he wasn't dragging her, just rushing. She suggests a karaoke box so they won't get recognized.
Inside, the receptionist stops them, pointing towards a sign on the wall. Flustered, our boy insists they aren't a couple. In the room, she asks if he feels like singing. He says no, remembering it's been ages since they just talked. So he asks what she's doing in this area. Mia explains she moved nearby recently. She was just heading to the market when she saw the commotion. They chat about how things have been and about the new squad member. But Mia's evasiveness makes him realize something is wrong, knowing it's not his business to ask. He instead gently cleans some dirt from her. Cheeks burning, she asks if Yu despises her for voting him out. He admits that at the time, his anger was real. But now he gets it. She only agreed because she was terrified for his safety. Hearing how strong he's become, Lee claims to be happy. But her eyes tell a different story. At the hero meeting, Beck declares their only option is to kill Jihan. Two heroes stare, wondering if he's lost his mind. But it's a bluff. His real plan is a trap, using Jihan as bait for the real target, Rios.
30 minutes later, our main character and Mia finally step out of the karaoke bar.
Spotting a shop, he offers to buy her a gift as a thank you. Covered in grime, she insists she's fine, but caves to his persistence. In the end, Yu picks out an outfit for her. Outside, he tells her they can always try another store if the jacket isn't her style. But Lee says the outfit is perfect, thanking him sincerely. They part ways, heading in opposite directions. Clutching the bag, she realizes this is the happiest she's ever been receiving a gift. Meanwhile, at the UIPC's London branch, Isaac Becker prepares for a press conference. He begins by blaming the Seoul tragedy entirely on the Korean branch, calling it a grave breach of trust. He vows the UIPC will do everything possible to aid Korea's recovery and repair the damage. A reporter immediately challenges him. How will he restore the people's trust? The president promises, from this moment forward, complete and total transparency from his organization. He also pledges a full investigation to ensure this never, ever happens again. With the statement done, Isaac sighs in relief. But Executive Shirley Day appears, sarcastically praising his storytelling. The president is annoyed, recalling he specifically told her not to come. But she drops a bombshell she knows he's Robert, not Becker, and demands to know the truth. The real Becker, we see, is meeting a guest Jono, who is furious the Seoul outbreak wasn't part of their deal. Isaac dismisses it coolly, claiming it's all just a simple misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that nearly got his daughter killed, the furious researcher retorts. But the president insists this is merely a necessary sacrifice to build their new paradise.
Creating a perfect being was always going to cause some friction. Still, the man says this is completely unacceptable.
He demands to be consulted next time, or their partnership is over. Just then, a figure emerges behind him. Becker scoffs, asking when he started needing his approval. After all, he's the one bankrolling this whole operation. Under pressure, the elf's father demands to know just how many mana crystals the president has consumed. Isaac grins, admitting he couldn't resist the urge to test the limits of his enhanced abilities. He then declares that thanks to this research, his ultimate dream is finally within his grasp. Jano warns him not to get ahead of himself. If he keeps pushing it, he'll be dead long before seeing any paradise. The old man smirks that the message was received, but the researchers shouldn't even think about interfering. We cut back to Korea, landing right inside a particular workshop. Yu has brought the whole guild to see Seoul for some massive weapon upgrades, and to find Yuri a more suitable weapon for her role.
Stunned, the heroine asks how on earth he found a workshop actually run by a dwarf.
But he just shows his ID, proving he's just an ordinary Korean. She looks at the document, completely baffled. Our boy just says that regardless. The man is a legendary blacksmith. Changing the subject, she explains her preference for a bow with more precision and power over mobility. The blacksmith confirms her goal, a long-range shooter providing support from the rear.
With her nod, he reveals his entire arsenal, leaving everyone speechless. Yu asks if his sword is still holding up.
Hoyle examines the blade and notices something strange. The wind elemental inside seems absolutely terrified. This means something, or someone, is deeply frightening Silf, which is why she's gone completely silent.
Our hero quickly asks if there's any way to restore her.
But the dwarf says he must first discover what scared her. Without trust, their bond will remain shattered. The man lets slip that he might know something. But before he can explain, Siyu calls Jihan to check out the weapons. In the background, Yuri looks less than thrilled with her new bow. After they're done, the elf notes how pricey the weapon was. Our hero asks if the guild leader shouldn't be more responsible. She fires back that he's the last person to lecture about money. After splurging on a women's jacket recently, flustered, he demands to know how she found out about that. Meanwhile, Min is floored by the idea that he might actually have a girlfriend.
Our hero struggles for an answer, but Sim steps in, saying they should all respect his privacy. After all, no one needs to know that Yu likes to cross-dress in his free time.
Seeing the collector's wink, our protagonist tries to keep his cool, but his killer instincts quickly take over. Laughing, a man with a soju bottle says the hero has it easy. Jihan asks who he is, only to get a bottle to the head.
Balancing on our hero's sword, a man named Gub taunts that he isn't so tough after all.
He demands his name again, after a swig. The man reveals he's the Destiny Guildmaster, the one exiled from Korea. Intrigued, our boy asks why the hell he was just attacked.
Hopping off the sword, the drunkard explains that the 6 guilds voted to give the young man their protection.
But since he objects, he came to see if that protection was earned. Our boy barely deflects the second assault. He can only think about how absurd this man's power level is. Praising the dodge, the hero asks why he isn't using his elemental's power, warning that he'll be forced to. The protagonist strikes, but Gubich dodges with ease, calling the move far too slow. But it was all a setup, as he's caught off guard by a ranged attack from Min. The Tamer rushes over, asking if this guy is an enemy. He is. Our hero says they can't possibly beat a former rank 1. Therefore, he needs her to distract the man for as long as possible. Seeing Jihan fall back, the exile wonders what they're up to. Min acts first, unleashing a barrage of 6 magic arrows. Yuri follows with a volley of icy arrows. Thrilled by the challenge, Kang deflects every single one. He then smirks, asking if that was all the duo had in them. Further back, our protagonist recalls the dwarf's advice and focuses on reaching Silf. He opens his eyes in her silent, otherworldly dimension. He sees his elemental curled into a ball and gently says he's just there to talk.
But the fairy screams for him to leave, insisting she doesn't want to see him die. Confused, our hero asks what she means.
The fairy appears, asking if he recalls what happened to her very first contractor.
With sorrow in her eyes, Sil calls Ara brilliant but naive. She won't let him make the same mistake. Back on the battlefield,
the hero scoffs, asking if they're just going to stand there. He tells them to move aside so he can claim his prize. Yuri summons Chilla, who materializes in her giant form, intercepting the attack. Guak sneers. He'd heard rumors of a tamed chinchilla, but clearly they were greatly exaggerated.
Calling it a giant furball that just bullies other pets, he decides it's time for a nap.
The heroine catches Chilla. Terrified, Seo whispers that the man is too strong, asking how much longer Yu needs. Putting her faith in him, the ice girl steps forward, vowing to buy them just a little more time. She tells the elf to stay back where it's safe. Min recalls buying the bow. Hyol had warned her it drains mana from inexperienced users, a potentially fatal flaw. But drawing the weapon now, she proves she's willing to risk it all, even death. The Destiny Guild's leader mocks her. A new weapon won't change a thing. I wouldn't be so sure, she replies. Seeing the mana-charged arrow, the hero thinks he just has to dodge it. She waits for the perfect moment, then fires, too arrogant to notice. The hero is shocked as the arrow transforms. The tamer thinks the ice will hold him, but suddenly he's right behind her.
Kang actually compliments her impressive attack.
But ice attacks are useless. He endured Russia's freezing hell every single day. Because of that, he almost pities having to crush a hero with such potential. He gives her a choice to join his guild. See who orders him to let her go, but freezes, afraid to make things worse. The hero turns, but Jihan has vanished. Our boy appears in his face, promising to burn that elemental display into his memory.
Under attack, the foe notes the kid's confidence. He drops his men, bored, asking what the hero is doing while the girls create a diversion.
Our hero scans the area for civilians, but something is off. The city is eerily deserted. He thanks his comrades for their help. I'll take it from here. You two, get to safety.
We flash back to moments before, as he tried to figure out why Sil was acting so strangely.
The fairy explains she was honoring Ara's wish, who thought her sacrifice would save the world. But in the end, she died for nothing, leaving only hatred and the threat of another war. That's why she can't go on. He asks if she wants him to run. Sil confirms it. The enemies are after her, not him, so he is free to go. He could leave her and return to his friends. But with hands on the barrier, he declares she's a precious friend, too. The fairy scoffs that he'll never break through. But our boy is about to prove her wrong. Stepping through, he declares that if a simple barrier could stop him, he never would have come this far. Taking her hand, he tells her gently, "You don't have to carry this burden all alone." She thinks he's a complete fool, but Sil admits she needs someone like him now. She promises to trust him and fight by his side. Jihan unleashes his Windblade attack. As he defends, Kubek notes the incredibly dense mana. Charging back, he demands to know why Jihan just revealed his full power.
Without a word, our protagonist charges too, starting a magnificent clash of power.
From a distance, Seiyu and Min are stunned by his speed, commenting on how much Yu's power has grown. The foe dodges easily, thinking the hero doesn't get it. Such simple moves leave him wide open for a counter. But to his shock, an elemental blocks his strike. Following the plan, our boy sends him flying with a huge explosion. The problem is, Kang emerges from the smoke without a single scratch, laughing.
The fairy warns him that her physical form can't be maintained for much longer.
Hearing this, Jihan tells her to return to the sword. It's time to end this battle for good. He strikes with his aura blade, but Bayak appears, stopping the fight with one hand. We return to the meeting where the Red Hall's master explained his strategy.
Yonggop immediately objects, arguing that the young man isn't worth the effort.
Why mobilize so many resources? He's just a mediocre hero with common skills and no real power. Besides, there's no proof Rias is alive. But Kang is certain. He caught his scent the moment he set foot in Korea. But still, he had his doubts about the plan. So he's here to test your strength himself, the old-fashioned way. Back in the present, the Red Hall leader notes that the once confident hero seems a bit overwhelmed.
When asked, he admits he only stepped in because that attack was too risky. With a grin, the former exile says the protagonist passed the test brilliantly.
Annoyed, our hero demands why he would pull a stunt in a residential area. But Bayak tells him to relax, saying he teleported the civilians out long ago. An army appears, proving that preparations were made before Jihan arrived. Siyu complains about being surrounded, but Yoji says no one is there to harm her. The protagonist declares he won't cooperate, not like this. However, he quickly learns that he has no choice.
Everyone vanishes thanks to the teleport hero, except for some soldiers left to clean up and Sim, who was forgotten under the rubble.
A soldier tells the boy he's coming with them. Elsewhere, Ria senses Yu's movement and confirms if his preparations are complete. Confirmed. The gang leader used all the monocrystals in the lab, successfully activating 85 enhanced humans. We also see that SI-13 and SI-15 have been restored.
The white-haired man declares it's time to begin the Paradise Project.
We cut to Red Hall headquarters where the protagonist and his allies are lost. Bayak appears out of nowhere and welcomes the trio. Smiling, he says he knows things escalated and thanks them for their cooperation. She yells back that he gave them no choice, impatient. The protagonist tells the hero to just get to the point.
He explains he brought them here to protect the Epic Guild from the UIPC and to test the boy's elemental manipulation.
He also detected magic, which means the trio will now serve as bait. He explains that all the protagonist has to do is keep his mana flowing while he waits. Jihan asks what will happen if he refuses. Activating his power, Gangchun replies that in that case, he would be forced to crush his resistance. So it's better to just cooperate and not make things harder. Drawing his sword, the protagonist states that if Rus appears, he will be the one to defeat him. This scene makes the hero realize the young man is starting to truly embody what it means to be an elementalist. He also resembles Erna, and for that exact reason, he will not allow him to face the enemy. Doha suddenly appears, using his ability to restrain our boy, leaving the two girls shocked. Bayak notes that if he had taken any longer, he and the kid would have ended up fighting. About to use wind arrows, CIU orders the hero to free her ally, but her attack doesn't even scratch the stone cocoon. The man says no one gets free without his permission. Proving him wrong, our hero says that if something blocks his path, he will simply destroy it. He then asks Sil to restore his elemental manipulation. The fairy complies, giving the signal for him to act. We see that no matter how solid a barrier is, cracks will always appear, and the wind will find a way through. Through the gaps, chunks of stone explode everywhere, leaving everyone impressed, especially Yoji, who is happy to see how strong he has become. Jihan says if the heroes want to stop him, they better come at him with their full power. Gangcheon finds it amusing, but the elementalist says he has no wish to fight, and that the boy should accept there's no escape from Red Hall's basement. which lies inside Mumu's stomach. Intrigued, the protagonist asks why go to such lengths just to keep him from meeting Roos. Without explaining, Doha just says this fight has always been theirs, just like the tragedy from a decade ago. Suddenly, the Red Hall leader announces that the enemy has finally arrived. Outside, the white-haired being claims it's time to hunt the elemental. We're taken to the building's upper floors, where soldiers wonder why everything is so quiet, even with a warning that someone is coming. Using his stealth, Roos slips past everyone to a corridor and feels the elemental's power right beneath him. Without hesitation, he uses his power to tear a hole straight through the ground,
all while thinking that he is closer than ever to finding the answer he has always sought.
Upon landing, the leader of the Azizians finds two large sealed gates and realizes the heroes used a complex ceiling formation. Confident in his power, he carves a passage and says he expected more from them, only to find an empty room. Suddenly, new memories flood his mind, memories that weren't there before. It's revealed that as his hidden emotions resurfaced, memories sealed deep within his very cells came with them. Surprised, the white-haired man realizes this is where he died and was reborn. These are the memories of his original self. As the hybrid is lost in his thoughts, Mumu appears and hurls him across the room. Doha welcomes him with a sarcastic apology for the rough trip, saying he never thought he'd see that ugly face again. Rhea sneers that using a dead man's memories for a trap is low. He wonders why his stealth suddenly failed him. Just then, Beck appears. If you want to know how you were discovered, he smirks. I can tell you. Junil, Myong, Jungab, and Kang appear from nowhere, ready to join the party. The Red Hall's leader breaks the tension, asking if they should start the meeting. Shocked, the Karios Master demands to know how Rias is still alive. Meanwhile, the leader of the Snowball Guild wonders why he looks the same as he did 10 years ago. It turns out Gang Chan kept everyone hidden in a separate space, so only the elemental could be detected. Then, at the perfect time, he teleported all the other heroes in simultaneously. Tired of talk, the Red Hall's leader makes the first move, attempting to nullify the boy's ability. Rias scoffs, calling it a wasted move. Spatial magic is useless on him, since he's also a dimensional mage. The hero says that's hard to forget, since the enemy himself created spatial magic on Earth. He asks why he turned on humans. The white-haired being says he has no idea how his past self put faith in such a miserable species. Using his power, he decides to leave, but his teleport is suddenly and forcefully interrupted. Smiling, Beak says letting him escape now would be a waste, and then activates his dream realm. The trap is revealed. Rias was caught the second he set foot in this place. Janelle's hammer falls, declaring an end to the conflict that began 10 years ago. The Asian leader flees, baffled by his discovery, until he recalls touching the barrier's seal and glances at his arm. Just then, Kang appears, smirking. Took you long enough to find my little gift. As they trade blows, the white-haired man asks about the marks. Kang confirms he made it for a troublesome skill. He then reveals the mark's secret. It constantly leaks a fraction of the target's mana. So no matter where they try to hide, their location will always be exposed. Minjong scoffs. He's just a cornered rat now. Stay put, or I'll break both your legs. Doha chimes in, observing that among everyone, Rios is the only one who hasn't changed. Trapped by stone walls, the white-haired man makes his choice. He must escape, even if it costs him his legs. But this time, it seems there's truly no way out. The Snowball Guild's leader unleashes Absolute Zero, encasing the stone in ice. Then, it's Junil's turn to strike. A brilliant explosion of light erupts dimensional obliteration, and Beck adds the final touch. Park is stunned, exclaiming, "This power! It's far beyond a rank 1 hero." The onslaught ends. The heroes wonder if he's dead. The teleporter senses no trace of his mana, but Ryus reappears, mocking their combined power. Suddenly, Kang collapses screaming, terrifying everyone. The Asian leader's mana has started leaking out through the very marks on Kang's arm. In a flash, ethereal chains erupt from the ground, binding 2 of the heroes. Genshun is in disbelief. How is that possible? I blocked all teleportation magic. Rias grabs the hero by the neck, explaining the tables have turned thanks to the mark on his arm. He used it as a perfect escape route, even opening a space unaffected by the dream realm. Doha declares they'll just have to start over. But his elemental manipulation is suddenly blocked. Rias smirks, saying they aren't the only ones who have grown stronger over the years. He shatters Bayak's space elsewhere. Yuri and Siahu search for an exit, but our boy tells them to conserve mana and analyze things. But his ability returns a shocking result escape probability, impossible to determine. Sil appears, explaining this place is a pocket dimension shaped by an earth elemental. This means their only way out isn't to fight, but to persuade him with words. The elf agrees it's worth a try, but the protagonist says it's useless and they need another plan. Determined, the blonde girl starts calling for Mumu, then asks for the man's help, who looks completely unamused. Still, the young woman helps after remembering the guildmaster. Yu feels secondhand embarrassment. However, when the Tamer calls Mumu a glorified worm, the entire dimension begins to shake violently. Emerging from the ceiling, The elemental roars. I am not a worm. Why were you two screaming so loud? The elementals catch up for a moment, and Yuri asks if Mumu would kindly let them out. He refuses, citing a promise to Doha. Jihan draws his blade, saying he has no choice but to use his aura.
When asked what's happening, the elemental replies that he will go and check on it.
Mumu suddenly screams that his partner is suffering and confused. The protagonist thinks it's impossible for Doha to be in trouble. Back at the battle, the Earth Elementalist is badly wounded, unable to believe such a skill exists.
Rias appears, saying this is the Judgment Realm, where each is trapped for his paradise project.
And when questioned about what this project could possibly be, the white-haired being reveals a massive airstrike will soon be launched across all of Korea. He demands to know where Yu is, but freeing himself, the hero retorts, "You should worry about your own safety." The Asian leader halts his attack, declaring the man's elemental manipulation is no longer a threat. The Judgment Realm's magic allows its user to take complete control of anyone's mana within the space. It also allows him to break the abilities of others and even use them for himself. The Elementalist is horrified, watching his own elemental power being used against him. Approaching, Rias asks how it feels to be beaten by his own power, then begins a story from 30 years ago, when heroes first emerged. But according to this new threat, the Asians were already on Earth. It meant the hero's powers came from his people. Even worse, he claimed his original self orchestrated everything that had transpired. Doha demands to know who he is, since he's not the real Roos. But talk time is over, as the enemy summons the Spear of Judgment. Luckily for the Elementalist, Bayek awakens. He catches the spear barehanded, announcing the protagonist has arrived. Turning around, he casually asks if he can join their little chat. The Asian leader wonders how the boy escaped. As Yoon asks about the other heroes, his ally admits he barely got away, using nearly all his mana. The takeaway. They were in no shape to fight Rias head-on. With few options left, they resort to their ultimate magic, the domain of eternal dreams. Flashback to 30 years ago. A small Gang-chan runs from the chaos with his parents. His mother shields his eyes, promising this isn't their end. The family's goal was simple: reach the heroes. But a towering monster blocked their path. With no other choice, his parents push him to safety, sacrificing themselves for their son's chance to live. In that moment of despair, the young hero's ability awakened, slicing the beast in two. This only angered the other monsters, who swarmed him.
The next day, the heroes were stunned by what the boy had done, deciding to take him with them.
However, a young Beck didn't like that one bit. He attacks Kang, showing he's completely lost control. Intrigued, the heroes saw only one option: kill the child. But a voice cuts in, asking to speak with the boy first. It's Erna. Removing her hood, she promises she's not there to hurt him. Seeing her elven ears, the boy screams for her to stay back, calling her another monster. He lunges, but Seo's mother tells everyone she can handle this alone.
Approaching again, the elf explains he's gained a power too heavy for someone so young.
Meanwhile, Bayek thinks that to survive and protect his family, he has to kill her. But Erna simply embraces the boy, telling him he doesn't have to keep fighting, or watch these horrors if he can't bear it.
And just like that, the hero was saved from his own thirst for revenge. Back in the present, Rias is impressed by the youth's remaining mana.
But he realizes something is off. He can't feel any mass, as if this were all just an illusion. Annoyed, he scoffs, asking if the hero thought such a cheap trick would actually work. Had he forgotten he was trapped inside the Judgment Realm? Spears of light rained down on Gangxian.
Getting nervous, Doha mutters that now seems like the perfect time for that supreme magic.
But his ally told him to wait, claiming he'd be ready in a second as the spears vanished. He noted the illusory dimension wasn't just the staff. That was merely the key to unlocking his true, sealed power. Excited, Beck goaded the imposter, asking if he knew how to dream. Roos struggled to focus, his memories interfering once more. The long-haired woman appeared again. He wondered why he recalled someone he'd supposedly never met. Unleashing his full power, the hero vowed to drag the memories from his foe's mind and show him his nightmare's end. An explosion erupted. The Asian's leader restored his spears and charged toward the young man. He sneered that it was useless. Those attacks would never reach him. Confused, the villain wondered what kind of trick this was. Gangchun explained that, while the illusory dimension lets him control space, his domain of eternal dreams could warp reality itself. In a flash, the Judgment Realm was shattered. A shocked Roos demanded how he used spatial magic through the seal. Yoon then appeared, striking with the Earth Destroyer. Feeling the impact, the white-haired being accepted that nothing more could be done. Meanwhile, the dream hero smirked, saying it was time to drown in his own nightmare. As he plunged into the water, the enemy found his body completely paralyzed. Suddenly, a second version of himself appeared, calling him a copy. Flustered, the silver-haired man insisted he wouldn't fall for this cheap mental game. But his double challenged him, asking if he was truly the original, and what he even knew about Roos. His past flashed by, but he had no answer. It was because someone had forcibly wiped his memories clean. He couldn't recall who he was before, or what he even wanted. What then made him an imposter? The woman reappeared, saying if he hadn't destroyed his own kindness, she would have stayed by his side forever. Russ knew those words were for his original, yet he wondered why they hurt him so deeply.
Panicked, he declared the past irrelevant, leaving only rage and revenge. To prove he was the original, he would judge humanity himself.
A massive explosion rocked the area. Doha cried out, asking what was happening. Beck noted that the white-haired guy escaped his nightmare. Now they had to face an even bigger, nastier monster, completely transformed. The Asian leader declared that no dream lasts forever. We cut to the UIPC headquarters in London, where Isaac revealed he knew exactly what was unfolding.
Shirley hoped this awakening wouldn't delay their plans, but Reynard was certain it wouldn't, as Roos was a persistent man.
The president then announced it was time to act. They would go to Korea and build the first paradise. Jono, standing beside him, simply agreed. Back at the fight, the Earth Elemental noticed a mana crystal embedded in the enemy's chest. Meanwhile, Gang Chan wondered if this was another of the UIPC's wicked creations. At the same time, he frantically schemed for a way to buy time and regenerate his domain. The monster declared that if they just stood there, it would make the first move, unleashing the full scope of its power. Yoon threw up a barrier, realizing the mana was incredibly dense. The dream hero noted he was focusing it all on a single point. After compressing it, Roos revealed the divine spear of judgment. The elementalist was horrified. How could anyone compress so much mana into one object? It meant completely shattering the limits of power. We see the man trembling in fear, this entire situation triggering a past trauma. He remembered the day he could only watch as all his companions died. The white-haired being taunted him, asking if he would freeze up again. Doha charged, proving he wouldn't, despite Bayak's warning. Midway, something completely blocked the hero's path. It's revealed the enemy's spear can erase anything it touches, a fusion of the mana crystal and Azizian power. Luckily for him, this ability was ineffective against the Eternal Dream Domain. Spitting blood, Gangchun begged his friend to stop being a reckless idiot, thinking it might be time for his last resort. Russ analyzed the hero's power. He saw the elementalist die upon contact, concluding the domain must have a weakness. It could only be the sphere floating right between the boy's hands. He dashed forward, striking with the divine spear of annihilation. After taking the hit, Beck smirked, asking when he ever said there was only one sphere, revealing another one inside his eye. An explosion occurred, erasing the divine spear. Roos simply stated that it didn't matter. He could just make another one. But who is this woman obscuring the hero's vision? And why does she haunt his memories?
With a smirk, Gang Chan reveals she is Ayeth, the one his original self loved so deeply.
We cut back to you, sword drawn, telling Mumu to open a portal. Rhea glares at the woman, asking how he loved her. The hero explains his original self admired the elf, until one day he betrayed them all, killing her himself. Memories overwhelm the white-haired being. He questions what his past self was even trying to do. The Red Hall's leader seizes the moment, calling him a useless plague that needs to be erased.
Trapped, Rios demands to know how the boy still wields so much mana.
But he reveals he's using no mana at all. The eternal dream feeds on itself.
It turns out Beck spent his life without sleep, stockpiling dreams of hope and nightmares of fear, all for the moment he could unleash his final, ultimate technique.
The enemy takes the fatal blow head-on as a brilliant light consumes everything. Seeing the crystal fly, the hero tells Eren it's finally time for him to awaken. But no dream lasts forever. Doha appears, catching his friend. Cut the tragic hero act, he says, smiling. Gangzan sighs. Can't a guy die in peace? The crystal shatters. Reese awakens in a lab, a scientist declaring that only judgment upon humanity matters now. The elementalist is shocked. How is he still alive? His ally replies, the fight was never a fair one. Faced with an array of deadly spears aimed right at them, the white-haired being prepares for his final strike. Just then, Jihan appears, asking if they aren't trying a bit too hard. With Silf at his side, he unleashes an aura cutter, shattering all the divine spears. Rhea grins, saying he's waited a long time for this. The two lock eyes for a tense moment. The white-haired being declares that with the wind elemental, he'll finally surpass his original self. When asked, Silf says that after her contract with Na ended, her memories became fragmented, but the Roos she knew never gave off this kind of mana. Our hero knows he can't let his guard down. His ability reveals the battle's outcome is totally uncertain. Yoon asks how he got here. Mumu admits he let everyone through, unable to watch his friend in danger. Yuri steps forward, ready to join the fight. Hearing Rios' name, Siyu asks if he's the one who killed her mother. A surprised Bae notes how naive they were to think they could hide the truth from her. But the elf has to know. He's just a clone made by the UIPC. The enemy then forms another divine spear of judgment. Further away, the protagonist feels a chill. He wonders if the monocrystal is the monster's power source. Silf urgently warns him not to get hit by that spear.
Yu is relieved his elemental skill works from a distance.
But suddenly, Ruse teleports right in front of him and strikes, dodging. The hero decides to go all out, launching his aura blade. The blow makes the enemy crave Silf's power even more. Doha is stunned. When did you get so strong? Gangshan notes the hit was strong, but not enough.
Our boy sees this firsthand as Russ regenerates, proving the fight is far from over.
He concludes that the mana crystal must be destroyed. Charging forward, the white-haired being demands his power. Also rushing in, our hero retorts that if he wants it, he should come and get it. They clash in the center, trading blows until the clone takes a punch to the face. Realizing the kid has tricks, Yu knows he'll be at a disadvantage if this battle drags on any longer. Meanwhile, Silf gathers mana for another strike. The wind blade activates, but Rias blocks it with his bare hands. He then absorbs the power, preparing to use it himself, leaving our hero completely stunned. He asks Silf what happened, but she's just as clueless as he is. Somehow, the enemy converted her elemental power into raw mana. Thrilled, the clone charges, demanding the rest of his power. When attacked, Jihan realizes the creature has grown even stronger and faster. Rias gets a hand on the sword, trying to repeat his trick, but gets kicked away. He just smirks, noting the boy looks a little tired. Shut up, our hero snaps, charging again. Below, the heroes watch the light show. The girls want to help, but Doha warns that they would only get in the way. Utterly unbothered, Yuri states the Epic Guild plays by its own rules. But Beck insists the girls aren't wrong, claiming they still have a part to play. As blows were exchanged, the Achiano vowed to dominate the wind elemental before the fight was over. Sil confirmed she was ready, and our boy immediately launched his aura blade attack. But after a bright flash, Rias stood revealed as an immortal. The fairy explained he just drains the mana, neutralizing the attack. The hero then declared he would stop using elemental arts, as more power only made his enemy stronger. The foe saw the young man's wind manipulation vanish, seeing a golden chance to end the battle. Yu activated his skill to test a theory that he wasn't the only one accessing the provided data. To prove it, he would share everything with Sil, linked as they were by his essence. Ruse closed the distance and struck, but our hero stopped him barehanded. Having predicted the move, furious, the creature vowed to silence him forever. Yet, he was the one struck by the sword, forcing him back to figure out what was happening. Closing in, Jihan taunted. And where do you think you're going? Hit again? The enemy gasped that it was like the boy could predict his moves, asking what changed in mere seconds. Our hero said it was hard to explain, offering only that he glimpsed a future where he was losing. Restoring his body, the white-haired being roared, there is no future where he loses, activating his divine spear ability. Sil warned her partner to be careful. The spear destroys everything but elemental manipulation. Dashing forward, the protagonist replied that he'll just have to not get hit by the weapon. Then, Russ unleashed a flurry of strikes, but the hero dodged every single one in advance. Getting close to his foe, he cheekily asked if he gets a prize for that. Flustered, the creature couldn't believe he was losing to basic attacks. The protagonist readied himself to deliver the final strike, but his processing speed suddenly plummeted. His ability was hitting its time limit. The enemy caught the sword in his mouth, declaring the fight over, but then he was hit by Sihu and Min's attacks. Enraged, he turned on the duo, but our hero appeared, saying he wouldn't touch the next generation of heroes, proving it wasn't over. Doha appeared, launching a futile attack just to give Jihan an opening. Russ realized he couldn't absorb the wind manipulation, and, as he was hit, began to crumble, asking how he lost to a human. Sheathing his blade, Yu replied that was exactly why he was defeated. The Azizian's pocket dimension began to collapse. Our hero knew that it was finally over. The elf rushed to him, hugging him, relieved he was safe. The young man hugged her back, promising he'd never leave her. Yoon smiled, happy to see the trio was okay. The girls told him to treat his wounds, but he replied it wasn't done yet. They needed info from Roos before he fully disintegrated. The Earth Elementalist approached, demanding to know about the Paradise Project and the IUPC's true goal. In total silence, the white-haired being just stared at Chiyu, who was the spitting image of her mother, and asked who she was. The blonde introduced herself, leaving him utterly stunned. She then demanded to know what happened to her mother on that fateful day. The seal on his memories shattered, and the past came flooding back. We see the day of the peace treaty, where the Azizian represented all the non-human races. Irna, the human representative, arrived, and the meeting began. But a tragic incident would shatter all hopes for peace. Someone approached and said that thanks to Roos, he'd learned something quite interesting. Seeing the dead elf, he called her decision foolish, thinking she'd have understood his plans. The white-haired being demanded to know why the man drove a wedge between humans and non-humans, but the scientist simply said he wouldn't understand, then apologized in advance if his patience were to run out. The two clashed fiercely until a massive explosion sent debris flying everywhere. Wounded, the Asian asked how a human could wield his people's power. The man explained it was through his experiments and mana extraction. He then revealed that conflict was always his goal, all to awaken Rias's rage and the raw energy inside him. The man confessed Ara was meant to be the vessel for that power, but she chose death after discovering his vile plan. So now, his plan was to simply use her daughter. It was then that Giono eliminated Rias, promising they would meet again. We return to the treaty day, as Ara spoke, saying she believed their differences would guide them toward a brighter future. At her side, the Azizian declares it is time to end this war. A hybrid agrees, stating they are all ready to accept peace, and so the day concluded with celebration and joy. The scientist suddenly appears, stopping Rios from taking the elf's hand, and congratulates them both.
When asked how he got there, he says he wouldn't miss this day, especially since a certain little girl was being a pest. Ara lights up, overjoyed to see little Kahu.
The man suggests a celebratory dinner, but the woman says she can't, citing prior commitments. Just then, the white-haired being tells her to go, promising he will handle everything here. After all, family is what's most important. As the trio leaves, Roos wonders if things might have been different. Had he met the elf sooner? Outside, a mysterious hooded figure brushes past the family.
Catching JNO's eye, a strange feeling washes over her, making her think she should stay.
But one look at her daughter's happy face changes her mind. The scientist reassures her, saying they will be back soon anyway.
Besides, even if something happened, the Asian is still in the hall. The hooded figure enters, aiming a weapon at a small child.
He smirks, asking if she's ready for some fun, and fires without a moment's hesitation. The shot silences the hall. The hybrids erupt, shouting that a human just shot a child. Enraged, an Azizian attacks the nearest human, screaming if this was the peace they wanted.
As chaos explodes, Roos begs them to stop, but then he sees the little girl, and a burning rage begins to consume him.
The hooded man reappears, taunting him. What is he waiting for? He should protect his people, and the elf he claims to love, unable to restrain himself any longer. The white-haired being unleashes his unrestrained fury. By nightfall, Erna returns to a hall of horrors, finding Roos standing amidst countless bodies, and in that moment, war between Azidia and humanity was sealed. In the end, the elf was killed. Now, back in the present, the creature reveals it was all Giono's plot, who still plans to use his own daughter to get what he wants. Leaning on Yuri, Seo asks in disbelief why her father would do something so horrible. Furious, Doha yells at the Azizian to stop blaming others for his own crimes. But Beck silences him, pointing out they also drew their swords without knowing the truth, making them no different. Yu then stuns everyone, confirming Rias is telling the truth due to his ability. The creature asks the boy to destroy its heart, just as the scientist wishes, so it may finally atone for its sins. Our hero looks around the room, then declares he will do as requested.
But as his sword descends, magical chains erupt from the ground, stopping his blade. Sil realizes this is an incredibly powerful spell. More chains shoot out, binding all the heroes.
A rift tears open, and a man with tied-up hair appears. He greets Jihan, then says it's time for them to leave. They're all abducted, leaving a shocked Ruse behind. The elf's father appears and grabs the item he came for. He muses that he nearly repeated his past mistake. Impressed, the Azizian broke the seal on his memories. But to his shock, the creature's heart starts to fade away. Bike appears, revealing that it wasn't the real one. Irritated, the scientist calls his resistance futile, as the team is already at the UIPC base. But the hero smirks, saying it's a huge mistake to underestimate the best dimensional mage alive. He reveals his allies actually left with the real heart some time ago. Mid-journey, Yun declares he's going back to get Gang Chun. But the Proa stops him, telling him not to let the hero's sacrifice be in vain. They still have a mission. He silently prays that, for once, his premonition is wrong. Back on the battlefield, the scientist admits the hero is skilled, and because of that, he should know what comes next. Using any more of his power means certain death. Showing a vial of liquid mana crystal, he invites the boy to join him. But Big has no interest in a world ruled by Jono. The man then tempts him, asking him to imagine a power that could even rewrite the mistakes of the past. The hero boldly asks if he truly intends to use his own daughter for his plans. The scientist confirms it, stating his late wife and his daughter carry royal blood in their DNA. He will simply wait until they both understand his noble cause. Gang Chun unleashes an attack, shouting that this world is not the future Ara believed in. Emerging from the smoke, the man respects his choice, but declares he will now take his life. Using dimensional cutting, the hero simply replies, "You're free to try." And so the brutal exchange begins. He realizes Jono's power is way beyond a rank 3 hero. Winning is impossible, leaving him with only one final, desperate option. Lunging forward, the man taunts, "Now's not the time to be daydreaming." With his barrier shattered, he dodges, only to be struck from behind. The researcher declares the hero's sacrifice was utterly pointless, but then his arm freezes. Genshin just smiles, asking, "Did you forget what my power is?" We learn the ultimate spatial magic is the black hole. an ability that collapses space and time itself. As the young man burned through his own existence, the void devoured everything, ready to die. The hero vows they will both become nothing inside this sphere.
After a massive explosion, only the scientist's glasses remain.
Reynard appears, admitting this was unexpected. He reveals he intervened at the last second to save Jono.
Asked about the heart, he reassures him the team will retrieve it any second. There's no need to worry.
Because this time, the president himself has joined the hunt. Jihan's crew arrives to find the entire city utterly devastated. The girls wonder what happened. As Doha notes, it's worse than last time. He asks how long Jihan will carry the heart instead of just destroying it. The young man replies that certain conditions must be met first.
We flash back to Bayek entering the sample space, his voice echoing only for him.
He reveals he's met another user with this power before. With no time to waste, the hero says enemies are coming, including a high-level spatial mage. The main character asks if this isn't the perfect chance to wipe them all out. But Gang Chun explains they're currently at a disadvantage. The priority must be protecting CU. As he buys time, we see the hero knows the worst could happen, but he's determined to honor Erna's will. Yu vows to complete the mission and ensure everyone gets out alive.
Back in the present, he remembers there's something he must do first. Calling out to Xiaoyu, he declares he will defeat her father to protect her. This is why he became a wind elementalist.
But he needs to know her decision. The young woman confesses she still can't believe what her father has done. Yet, she can't just stand by and watch her mother's world crumble. Through tears, the elf begs for help to stop her father's tragedy. On one knee, our hero swears to obey the guildmaster's command, no matter the cost. Watching them, Doha reflects that he always thought it was his generation's duty to end the war. But these young heroes didn't hesitate, drawing their swords to fix this nightmare. This means the next generation inherits not guilt, but the chance to succeed. Just then, Chilla's frantic screams shatter the tender moment. Yoon shouts for the newcomer to identify themselves. Hands raised, Park appears, relieved to see them alive. Questioned, he admits it's strange he survived. He explains he used the Temperous Speed artifact to escape Rias's spatial magic. Furious, the hero demands to know why he fled alone. But the man insists it was the smart move. Someone had to warn the others. The main character steps in, telling them to stop fighting. There are more important things to worry about. Surprised, the man sees the heart and asks if the Asian is defeated. He then demands the item to deliver it to the government, a blade at his throat. Our boy asks how he knows about the heart. Someone who ran from the battle should know nothing. Suddenly, Kim appears, calling the kid clever. He says he's eager to see what he's capable of. A massive explosion erupts from the hero's sword strike. Seeing Jihan escaped, he notes that his wind elementalist title wasn't just for show. Our boy checks on his allies. Seeing Mumu protected them, Yoon tells him to focus on the traitors. The Koi's leader asks the redhead why he ignored orders. He claims he only jumped in because things got dicey, and he wanted to test his new powers. The protagonist asks how the man got the mana crystal. Hyundai explains that while they fought Rus, the UIPC launched a huge attack on Korea. This led to the hero's defeat and the shattering of the land's protective barrier. Cornered, the ex-hero sneers that he just sided with the winner. He could never be rank 1, just like our hero said. But now, thanks to his blessing, his old limits are history. Jihan dodges an attack, realizing his old boss is on another level of speed. Before striking again, the man offers a chance for old time's sake. All the boy needs to do is hand over the heart. Sil declares that her magical power has finally reached its peak. The system starts a compatibility check. With grim results, wind can't beat fire. Knowing this, our hero decides to exploit every single opening Kim leaves. After another clash, the enemy warns that playtime is officially over. But Yu just smirks, noting he hasn't changed at all, still impatient as ever. It was all a setup to create a path for Doha's attack. The resulting strike causes a massive explosion. Park grows anxious. He must get the heart before Isaac arrives. The redhead reappears, scoffing that the Earth Elementalist is a huge disappointment. He then wonders aloud what might happen if he kills the last rank 1 hero. Seeing his ally get hit, our boy gets worried, but Doha proves he's fine, despite the damage taken. He wonders to himself if all that power really comes from just the mana crystal. Knowing a 2 versus 1 fight is suicide, Hai calls for his friends. The other guild members appear, but they're completely transformed. But what catches him off guard is Mia's attack. They lock eyes for a moment, until Yuri's arrow forces the heroine away. Jihan thanks her for the assist. If it hadn't been for that arrow, he would have killed the girl with his own 2 hands. We see that she and the others aren't fighting of their own free will. This discovery only fuels our hero's rage, as he demands to know why Kim would do this to his own comrades. Laughing, the man says how he uses his team as the leader's choice. He turned them into loyal puppets, meaning our hero must kill his former comrades to survive. Junho charges in, but is stopped by Chilla. Min says she'll handle this while our boy deals with the idiot redhead. To her surprise, a lightning barrier stops her arrows. After getting hit, she realizes there's a mage on the field. Sihu appears, declaring she'll take care of Kun. A burst of light shows the short-haired girl saving her friend from the worst. Watching everything unfold,
Park calls Kim an absolute fool, since the plan was to avoid a fight entirely.
as he debates switching sides again, Doha creates a stone barrier, saying they need to talk.
With the artifact in hand, the master sighs that his student is a pain. Elsewhere, Yuji Han notes that Hyundai always fights distracted, which is why he will lose.
The man asks if our boy has imagined the worst-case scenario. When he says no, the villain promises to show him personally. And with that, they begin another fierce exchange of blows.
Our boy wonders if his opponent was hiding his true power, until Sil appears, yelling that it's time to unleash everything.
He obeys, launching an aura blade. But this only makes the enemy's flames burn hotter. In the air, the redhead unleashes his meteor break attack, engulfing the area in fire. However, to his complete and utter shock, his sword shatters into pieces. Unharmed, Yu says that now it's his turn. The enemy wonders how he could lose, when all he ever wanted was to be a hero. We flash back to the past, when Kim was just a teen fighting monsters. He's exhausted and outnumbered. To make things worse, some of the creatures use a paralytic poison. Suddenly, the monsters lunge for the kill. He awaits his end, until a voice tells him not to lower his head. It's his father, Kim Hunik, master of the Inferno Guild. When asked about his team, the boy says they're all probably dead by now. Furious, his father tells him to remember that a hero draws his sword for others, never for himself. A hero who abandons his comrades doesn't deserve to be called rank 1. Everyone always followed the guildmaster, a man who was both just and powerful. This inspired Huni to be just like his father, until the man died alone in a dungeon trying to help a friend. This incident twisted the red-haired boy's worldview, making him think his father was an idiot. In a rage, he burned the memorial, screaming that his father was wrong. He promised he would never help trash again. The next year, the young man joined Karos. Then Jihan joined the group, revealing he couldn't use magic. Livid, Kim demands to know why Park brought such useless trash into the guild. He explains it's because every mana user was already picked by other teams. Our boy admits he's weak, but promises he won't be a burden. But what truly infuriates the redhead is the sheer confidence in the rookie's eyes. He makes it crystal clear the moment the boy gets in the way. He's getting kicked out.
Another day, on a third-class mission, the group explored the area until Xion decided to scan ahead.
Jihan was ordered to stay back. Suddenly, monsters appear, and Kim finds himself cornered. Snakes coil around his leg as he braces for the end. But to his shock, the protagonist saves him. He turns and asks if he's okay, just like his father always did. It was then the redhead realized he could never become a rank 1 hero. Back to the present, where Yoon finishes his attack, leaving the man short one arm. Before he collapses, Hyun asks why everyone seems to like the young man so much. Nearby, Lai Mia dodges attacks from Chiyu and Yuri, who are struggling to subdue her without causing serious harm. The Tamer unleashes her blizzard arrow, creating an icy explosion, but to her shock, the heroine is completely unscathed. Just when all seemed lost, the real young woman appears, regaining control and fearfully asking why she was fighting. Shaking, Kyun feels a wave of relief, finally free. Seeing things go south, Park tries to use his artifact but is stopped by Doha. He admits that the item's power is truly incredible. Mumu appears, stating that defeat is certain, so the man should just surrender. On the ground, Kim laughs at his own downfall. In the end, he was defeated by someone walking his father's same path. In his despair, the hero admits he was afraid to acknowledge Jihan had something he lacked. Our boy then asks if he recalls the day he was expelled. He then confesses he lied when he said he could never be a rank 1 hero. Deep down, he knew the man was stronger than anyone. He just didn't know how to fight and trust his comrades at the same time, which ultimately led him astray from his own path. He offered a hand, a chance to start over. His father's words echoed in his mind. Finally understanding, he accepted the help. But of course, Jerry crashed the party, finding this whole redemption arc annoying. So she decided to spice things up. Kim released Yu's hand, whispering, "Survive!" Our hero screamed as the man was slaughtered. The Asian sneered, "So kind," while his eyes burned with pure hatred. Before vanishing, the man apologized for everything, uncaring. The girl reminded him of the price for losing a battle. Furious, our hero vowed she'd be next to fall. His expression only made her more excited. He charged, but Jerry vanished, cloaking her presence. A bad move against someone who could read her every move. Our boy landed a direct hit, a clean blow showing he'd leveled up.
Cutting to the chase, he demanded to know what Jano planned for Rias's heart.
The Azizian laughed, holding up the item. Yu was confused how she got it. Then an explosion erupted. Sil shielded her contractor from the blast, asking if he knew the newcomer. It was Psi 013. Minsu also appeared, stating enhanced humans were easily replicated. So, he said there was no need for confusion. He revealed the elf's father had created 85 masterpieces, and Jihan would fight them all, though he could handle it. The main character worried for Siyu and Min, who were completely surrounded by creatures. The elf despaired, knowing her father was responsible. The Tamer wondered if Minaori's could heal her sister. The enemies charged the pair, but Junho and Chilla stepped up. With Lee Mia and Kuni, the mage whined about running, but was quickly shut down by her friend, who tossed her forward, yelling, "Use your lightning magic." Our boy was glad to see his allies, unlike Lim, who ordered their deaths.
Activating his power, the hero unleashed a flurry of blows, proving he was no longer a weakling. Staring at the scientist, he promised, "You're next."
Suddenly, a portal tore open and Isaac appeared, thrilled to be in paradise. He hadn't come alone. You didn't even bother to look. The researcher watched his soldiers get massacred, screaming, "Coward!" The main character simply told the man to step forward. Nearby, Mia marveled at his new strength, but lowered her guard, giving an enemy an opening. Luckily, Min and Sihu handled it until Shirley arrived, calling them all completely useless. The heroine told his friends to run, but the enemy attacked, claiming it was far too late. To her shock, Jonho saved the day by creating a massive barrier. He knew she was a first-class heroine, but they had a mage with equal destructive power. Preparing, Kun declared she would use her strongest spell, then unleashed a fatal blow. Unimpressed, the enemy launched her own attack, eager to see if the mage could block it. The redhead felt her magic being absorbed. An explosion erupted, and the tanker screamed. But Doha saved the girl, hating noisy people. Shirley feigned surprise at seeing the hero alive, asking if he came to die with his friends, telling her to shut up. The elementalist was eager to see what a British heroine could do. However, she claimed fighting him was too messy, leaving the mission to Robert and Caden. Showing no fear, Yoon just smiled and told the enemies to bring it on. After dealing with the minions, our boy charged Minsu, but was stopped by Isaac, who only cared about the heart. Our protagonist asked who he was. The old man introduced himself without hesitation. "Be careful," Sil cried out. The warning let him dodge just in time, which impressed the president. He realized the man had crushed space with dense mana. How many mana crystals had he absorbed? The fairy couldn't read his data, making the situation far more dangerous. Lim appeared, falling to his knees. "It's an honor to meet you, Isaac." He revealed Jerry had the heart, and they just needed to eliminate the interferences. The Asian then appeared, handing over the item. In the air, Jihan declared it wouldn't be so easy, but his enemy not only dodged the attack, materializes behind him, calling him arrogant. He then starts absorbing the heart's power. Everyone freezes, stunned by the spectacle, even the executives. They look thrilled to witness a transcendence awakening, no longer needing glasses. Paradise's ruler shows his new form, smiling that being perfect feels better than he'd dreamed. Jihan charges in to attack, but gets swatted back to the ground like a fly. Sil desperately tries to reach him as his consciousness begins to fade. Suddenly, a portal opens. His role isn't over yet. Now all-powerful, Isaac laughs like a madman. But to his surprise, his body grotesquely deforms. Jono emerges, stating Asian power can't just be stolen. It requires a suitable vessel to contain its might. Terrified, the president begs his friend for a way to reverse this nightmare. With a hand on the heart, the elf's father agrees it's time for the man to return to dust. The enemy cries out that he thought they were friends. Remembering their first meeting, the researcher laughs, saying he never considered him a friend. As Isaac vanishes, he seeks Kiyu to be the next vessel. Jihan asks if he'd rather just adopt a kid. He then strikes, declaring the man has to go through him first. The scientist easily parries and counters. After a brief exchange, he notes how impressive the young man's confident moves are. It's as if he knew the outcome from the start, meaning Jihan has some hidden ability. Our hero kicks him away, demanding his true goal. Giono closes in, saying it's all for evolution after events from 30 years ago. He argues they must transcend their limits to face the world's irrationality. Annoyed, our protagonist tells him to drop the noble act. The researcher laughs, saying he'll only share his plan with him. He then reveals his tragic backstory, beginning with a vision of burning bodies. But then a beautiful, otherworldly being appeared, leaving him utterly captivated. He's searched for it ever since, and now his goal is to recreate that divine being with his own hands. Noticing our hero's very confused expression, the man reveals magical books, not just monsters, also came through the portals. Through many experiments, he learned the portal leads directly to that mysterious entity. But it requires a body balancing two opposing forces. Jihan says he has no desire to meet it. The researcher tempts him, mentioning the helplessness of being a mere human. He offers Jihan a chance to rule paradise as a transcendent, with him and his daughter. Just then, his daughter appears and attacks him, calling him trash. He just smiles, calling her a disappointment. Our boy asks if the elf is all right. She is, knowing this man isn't her father, but a monster. He claims he doesn't want to hurt her. She just has to become the vessel. Furious, she fires 6 magical arrows, but he stops them effortlessly. Our protagonist attacks from the side, only to be halted and thanked for babysitting the blonde. Told his role is over, Jihan disagrees. He made a promise to change this irrational world. The villain suddenly realizes Yuji Han was secretly gathering mana this whole time. Without hesitation, our hero unleashes his aura blade, causing a massive explosion of light.
When the light fades, only a crater remains. Landing, our boy confirms 0 chance of survival.
The elf approaches, asking if it's over. He says yes, the researcher is probably dead. Suddenly, a voice says she wanted to be needed, but now nothing remains, so they are one. Meanwhile, our protagonist tries talking to Silf, but the elemental gives him the silent treatment. He turns to join the others, but then notices something is very wrong with CU. A new figure appears, telling him not to be so shocked. Her purpose was always to awaken as a coding. Reynolds steps from a portal, saying he was waiting beyond dimensions for Yuji Han to lower his guard. The mage smirks, revealing he knows all about that special ability. And for now, the young man must join him in a multidimensional space, with our hero out of the way. Jono materializes behind his daughter. Without pause, he implants Roos's heart, whispering words of pride. The elf's eye glows with power. With a chilling smile, the entity declares their 2 souls are now one. Yuji Han questions his surroundings. Suddenly, the mage reveals this special space was prepared just for him. The protagonist apologizes for the chaotic summon, then demands to be sent back. But Reynolds, sword in hand, declares transcendence is now unstoppable. He advises him to calm down and listen. After all, he too carries a powerful will. From thin air, Bayak appears. He urges the protagonist to lower his blade, assuring him no one here is an enemy. Our hero uses his skill to verify the man's identity. The hero feigns hurt, shocked he wasn't recognized instantly. The samurai mage explains the man was always present, his presence simply undetectable.
Gang Shun adds to the story, confirming that the black hole technique should have ended his life.
But the mage suddenly intervened, saving him. Confused, the protagonist demands to know who this mysterious samurai truly is. The mage begins his tale. For the last 30 years, he has carried Erna's will, his sole purpose to destroy Jono's ambitions. And to achieve this, it was necessary to summon the transcendent. Meanwhile, in the real world, the researcher delights in his successful plan. The entity remarks that of all its vessels, this one is the second most perfect. It then asks if the man was its benefactor. The elf's father shouts his confirmation. He desperately asks why he was chosen. Was he special, different from all other humans? The creature shatters his hopes, simply asking, "And who are you?" It continues, noting how fragile mortals are, always finding meaning in brief encounters with power. Realizing he was nothing special, the researcher mourns his wasted sacrifices. The entity embraces him with a chilling promise. He will become truly special, as a part of it, making him unforgettable. Back in the other dimension, Reynolds reveals Erna planned everything 30 years in the past. We learn the Transcendent's name is Ether, the very being responsible for the destruction of planet Aziza. This entity also opened the gates years ago. Its goal to absorb Yuji Han's unique ability. As Giono turns to dust, the new foe readies herself to hunt our boy for her next meal. But to her shock, the boy has vanished. This means others are still following Ara's plans, actively working to interfere. Determined, the creature smirks. If he will not come out, she will simply have to force his hand. She launches an attack skyward, ripping open a portal. From it, horrifying creatures peer down. The sight terrifies heroes and villains alike. Misu shouts, "What in the world is that thing?" Jerry reveals the beast is not of this earth. He names it Aranella, the calamity that fell from the sky during Azizia's ruin. A memory that makes her feel more alive than ever. The creature lunges for Yuri, but Doha saves her in the nick of time. He tells her to stay sharp as he tries to process the overwhelming threat. In the sky, Ether is surprised by more humans. It states the young woman is gone, then asks for you. Shirley attacks, demanding to know where the president is. The enemy teleports behind the girl, and the 2 boys instantly charge forward to attack. But they're ensnared by the being's hair. Licking its lips, it whispers about its hunger before devouring Robert and Caden's mana crystals. Trembling, the blonde girl asks in despair, "Is this truly what Isaac wanted?" Yoon makes a sudden appearance, only to be snatched by one of the giant monsters. As a devastating blow descends, the elementalist wonders if this is his end. However, Yuji Han finally arrives. He frees his ally, declaring Ether's true opponent is here. Looking at Doha, he mocks. "Too weak to stand on your own." Doha accepts the hand up, admitting the wait for our hero almost drove him insane. The enemy closes in, surprised he'd appear for mere mortals. "But since you're here," it sneers, "it's time to give me your eyes." Our boy quickly briefs his ally on the foe, but assures him it is not all bad news. Because things have changed. Impatient, the creature sends its minions, and Yuji Han asks how long Bak plans to just watch. From above, the hero sighs that he hates being rushed, then unleashes his power, striking the giant head-on. Yun screams a warning to his friend. "Move! They're about to counterattack." The hero blocks the attack with a smile. He coolly announces it is Reynolds' turn to shine. The mage steps through a portal. Impressed, You're better at using people than I thought. His dimensional magic swallows the creatures. Stunning ether. Our hero strikes with his awesome aura blade, but in a disastrous twist. She shatters it with one hand, mocking his attempt. She boasts about her perfect record, hinting at the power in his eyes. A power that was his from the very beginning. Jihan roars, vowing she won't take anything else. He activates Life Drain, pulling himself directly into the creature's inner world. A flashback reveals the mage's crucial plan to beat the Eater. He must use his sampling skill. The mission is simple extract Sehu before the enemy reaches full power. Inside her mental world, he finds his friend unconscious. He screams, promising to get her out of there. But just then, shadowy tendrils pierce his body, and his vision starts to fade. A voice tells him to snap out of it. It's Ara, smiling, saying she was waiting to help solve this together. Mid-speech, the elf calls him son-in-law, showing she's completely in favor of him and her daughter.